VOD number 2 got so many dislikes and complaints that I was just like, all right, I'm gonna stop putting VODs on this channel now, which in hindsight was a good decision. But like, so I'm a little bit burnt on making content about that. I guess the question is, do people want to watch me play through it? I would like to. I like System Shock and I haven't played that game in 15 years, but I like System Shock. I'm not against the idea necessarily. I just took a week off, Quasar. I just did that. So at that point, it would be almost 3 weeks, almost 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks off at that point. Because I was gone for 8 days and then came back, streamed once, and then took 4 days because it was I took a long weekend. So at this point, you're just telling me to not work, and I have to work, unfortunately. Great idea, but I have to work. Yeah, same. You will, but you're not everyone. Hey, if you tune in, that is more than you've tuned in recently, to be fair, Suited. I feel like since the Switch 2 came out, you've just been like, I presume playing Mario Kart off in space. But in reality, probably just working and busy, which is totally fair. Welcome back to this nonsense, chat. My monitors are higher up than usual. Yeah, I have no idea where I would get key. I don't really want to spend money on something I'd stream once. You know, the something that I think a lot of people in the US don't fully appreciate is that Canada has a lot of very similar things to the US, and they're all just like, come to the US, we have unique and interesting thing, and it's like, welcome to Canada, we have that too, and if I wanted to go there, I would, but I don't, because I don't want to. It's like, we have farmland, we have that too, congrats. And it's like, we have forests, so do we. We have deserts, so do we. Then people from, it's like, Brazil, come to Brazil. Everybody else, far away. No thing. All right, so welcome back to this nonsense fortress. We're gonna have to do a slow start on this because I have to reacquaint myself with everything that's going on here. So we have this entrance that goes down to the caverns, this one that goes to my tiny little fight tunnel. We've got the outer towers from this pre-World Gen fortress, or from this World Gen fortress that I forcibly embarked on. It goes all the way up, very high, and it's a good time generally. The center part of it has libraries and things, and then an unfinished roof, which I need to work on. The map itself isn't scary or anything, it's just a calm biome. Actually, I think it might have been wilderness. We got beehives over there. I was making honey for a bit, but I kind of stopped making mead, mostly because, like, I just kind of stopped. Down here, we've got... I think this is my dining hall. Yeah, that's my dining hall and slash tavern. Same with this. The castle of home. We've got an office there that needs to be replaced. We've got this, which is the granite church. We've got the church of oiling. We've got the another church. We've got a bunch of tombs. We've got a very cheesily made. What is this? Craftsdorf Hall? Yeah. Down here we've got the Farmers Guild. As you can tell, there's a lot of gold. One of the gimmicks of this fort is the only materials that I'm using for weapons are stuff that we have on the map, which means no goblinite, and I don't have any metal that can be used for weapons, naturally occurringly on the map. I have a strange mood that has just begun over here, and ads just started playing, so I'm just going to read the living dwarves in the fort. The named dwarves in the fort currently are Lanix, who's the mayor. We got Bonesaw. We've got Napalm Sudburns. We've got Bunny. We've got Hippo. We've got... Giant Slayer. You know, honestly, I think my meds just kicked in because, like, my brain capacity just, like, doubled in the last, like, 15 minutes. We've got other sidebirds. So we've got Napalm sidebirds and other sidebirds. We've got Arinya. We've got Paddywhack. We've got Gutvile. Gutvile is what I'm going to go with. We've got Pumpy McDarius. We've got Bismuth. We've got Snail. You know, AWOL Nation did an album with Beck. We've got Storm Pup there. So those are the dwarves currently in the fort. Do we have that? I mean, technically, they just only get 0.01%. Well, not 0 points. I think it's actually like closer to 1% of the vote. So yeah, we have one of those. Eggy. Although they might cease being a party, like officially. I think they've lost most of their funding. Most people just kind of point and laugh. We do in fact have one of those. Yes. Eggy Von Turbo in the YouTube chat asked, but do you have a fascist government encroaching on civil liberties? It's like, well, we do have one of those, just nobody votes for them. Mooncat, you wanted to do that? What do you think, chat? Can we also give one to Mooncat? YouTube, folks! The first person to type in 3 pickaxe emojis can name a dwarf or inanimate object of your choosing, within reason. So Belug would like a dwarf with a beard. You're getting this one. Belug! I really like this keyboard, chat. This is a very nice keyboard. Not sponsored, I swear. They didn't give me money. There's pictures of it on Discord. You want to practice a craft. Well, I guess I will permit you to... I can also delete this now. He is often inflamed by hatred and easily develops hatred towards things. He is completely careless with resources when completing projects. He... and invariably wastes a lot of time and effort. He is very stubborn and he's conflicted by this part of himself, and he finds humor in most situations. He's quite comfortable with others that have a different appearance or culture, and doesn't try to get things done perfectly. Also, Belug, I need to say this out loud. I've been thinking about that Zeppelin a lot. I'm not going to add any other context to that, and please don't add extra context to that. I just want you to know that I've been thinking about that Zeppelin a lot. He is quite comfortable with others that have a different appearance or culture. He doesn't try to get things done perfectly, is not particularly interested in what others think of him. He is often cheerful. He's quick to anger, and he tends to not reveal personal information. He prefers that everyone lives as harmoniously as possible, and he has a sense of duty. And he tends to think before acting. He has a greedy streak, and he tends to avoid crowds. He needs alcohol to get through the working day, and he does not mind being outdoors at least for a time, and doesn't really care about anything anymore. He dreams of raising a family, and personally, he finds the notion that one would persevere through adversity completely abhorrent, and respects commerce and those that engage in trade. Finds maintaining decorum a silly and fumbling waste of time, and finds eloquence and artful speech off-putting. You just started playing DF, any tips? Watch my tutorials and ask questions when you have them. Hang out and chat and ask questions as you hit them. Dwarves need only a couple of things. They need beds, a place to sleep. They need a place to socialize, usually a tavern or a temple. They need food, and then they need alcohol. They don't drink water, don't give them water. Just grow plump helmets, make booze out of plump helmets. I have a basics getting started guide for Dwarfort, which I would watch through, or go to the wiki and go to the first time player's guide and just kind of follow along with the step-by-step instructions. The first few times you will be confused as fuck, but you'll get it with time, and it is less difficult, more obtuse, and welcome to the game. Hope you enjoy it. He really respects commerce and those that engage in trade, and finds maintaining decorum a silly and fumbling waste of time. He finds eloquence and artful speech off-putting, and dreams of raising a family. Personally, likes graphite, me too, pig iron and tiger iron, as well as tube wood. What the heck is tiger iron? Is that like a gem or something? All right, Eggy Von Turbo, I will give you the credit for typing 3 pig and 3 axe emojis in a row. Just because that's funny. And Gumbo the Great, you can also have one. So Gumbo the Great, you can name an inanimate object and/or dwarf, and Eggy Von Turbo, you can name an inanimate object and/or dwarf. I mean, I gotta respect the effort. It was a pig and an axe, but not a pickaxe. But hey, come on, that's 6 emojis. I can roll with that. They like temples more than bedrooms. They really like... Temples are great because it's a social and also like the praying need, so it's actually 2 needs in one. Although, so are so are taverns. They are merrymaking and socializing, which are also 2 needs. But I got 2 things to name before then, so hang tight there, YouTube. Just decide what you would like. Male dwarf or lady dwarf, or a constructed item. Tiger iron and tunnel tube wood, naked mold dogs for their wrinkly skin, and the words of the silken watchful amethyst, the sound of the velvety incenses, and the sight of the diamond mines. When possible, prefers to consume clown loach, dwarven wine, naph seed oil, and foxtail millet flour, and hates oysters. You worship Icast, the god, and you've got one close friend who's Erdim. And, Mooncat, what do you want? You're gonna ask for a slow dwarf? Okay, we'll give you Erdim, who's Beleg's friend. Although first, I'm just gonna pop over here and do 2 things. I'm gonna turn that. I'm gonna enable that. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is Sits. Thanks very much for the 25th month with Prime. There was one other thing I wanted to enable, and now I'm blanking on what it was. I'll think of what it was in a sec. Erdim. Dadrick, it's good to see you. It's going to be Mooncat. Is deliberately cruel to those unfortunate enough to be subject to his sadism, dislikes obligations, will try to avoid being bound by them, and is conflicted by this as he values... and he's conflicted by this for more than one reason. He is very slow to anger and not a private person. He freely shares details of his life. I know what I'm going to check. I'm going to check the population cap, because I think we are... Yeah, we're at 100. We're going to go... we're just going to set it to 3. Oops, I should probably... There we go. We're going to just crank up the population cap. So this dwarf, Mooncat, aside from being deliberately cruel, he has little time for forgiveness and will generally seek retribution. He is very easily falls into love and develops positive feelings. He has a noticeable lack of perseverance, and he is quite ambitious. He tends to form only tenuous emotional bonds with others, and he is pleased by his own appearance and talents. He tends to avoid any physical confrontations. He works to square his natural tendency with his respect of martial prowess, and he isn't particularly curious about the world. He has an active sense of humor, and he tends to think before acting. He needs alcohol to get through the working day and does not mind being outdoors at least for a time, and doesn't really care about anything anymore. He personally finds sacrifice to be one of the highest ideals. He is completely put off by the idea of friends, believes that it is important to conceal emotions and refrain from complaining, and he values tranquility and a peaceful day. And he sees competition as wasteful and silly, and sees war as a useful means to an end, and dreams of crafting a masterwork someday, and this dream was realized. And he likes orpiment and nickel silver and lace agate, as well as the color mauve taupe and short swords, leather armor, armor stands, giant horseshoe crabs for their ability to hide in the sand, and the words of the Northway and the sound of the cobalt boulders and the sight of the diamond mines, and when possible prefers to consume quinoa and cowpeas, and absolutely hates purring maggots. And is a dabbling Marks dwarf, and worships Zimish, and is not a member of a religion. Zimish is the god of death. Welcome to the fort. And Ego von Turbo, or Eggy von Turbo, wants to be a chair in the tavern. So this jet throne is now Eggy von Thronebow, because Turbo. Thronebow. And what would you like, Gumbo? What object and or dwarf would you like to name? And chat, can I get a proper round of beers for Sits, keeping that sub alive for 25 months. As a reminder to everybody, we are streaming on 2 platforms, YouTube and Twitch. If you are watching on the YouTube stream and you want faster responses to your chats, I recommend watching on Twitch, because I do stare at the Twitch chat more consistently. To the YouTube folks, here's a link to the Twitch chat if you wish to support it by lurking in another tab. And to the YouTube, and to the Twitch folks, here's a link to the YouTube stream if you would like to leave a like on it and or lurk to support both streams. You can leave a like as well, YouTube folks, because there's 53 of you watching and only 22 likes. So you're slacking, and we can improve that number. But now let's get back to the tour of the fort. Okay, so this particular fort, the surface portion of it's still under renos, and this is kind of the underground portion of it. But as we go underground, you're going to notice something, and that's this fort is really deep. And also there's this very long stairway that just kind of keeps going down. Now, it goes down pretty far, and it's going to keep going down pretty far, because the last time we streamed this fort, I started working on this stairwell. And the goal for this stairwell is to go all the way down. In fact, it's still going all the way down. And by all the way down, I mean all the way down. It's going to go all the way down to here, in fact. And this is a operation of draining the lava sea. Now, why am I draining the lava sea? That's a good question. I can? You want the angriest child, Gumbo. Got it. That's the reason. It's because I can. That's why I'm draining the lava sea. Over here on this side, if we actually go up, there are pockets. I wish I could zoom out more. There are actually pockets of lava that are not filling from the edge of the map, specifically around here. And these areas are, this is the only spot that's actually filling from the edge of the map, but most of these areas are not. So this is all now open and no longer has lava in it. Same with up here. And this was the lava sea at one point and is now just full of water. And I actually think I turned off the... Yes, I did, in fact, turn off the water that is filling it very recently. So I'm going to need to pump this water out of here. But my hope for today is to finish building this stairwell. Thing number one that I want to finish today. I want to finish building this stairwell. Once I'm finished building this stairwell, I'm going to start filling in this, and I want to move the fort from the surface to down here. That's my hope. That's what I want to do. You have no idea what's happening when I play this? Think about it this way, Chili Willies. Also, it's good to see you. I have no idea what you're doing when you're flying planes, because Chili Willies, I presume you still do, did a bunch of flight sim stuff at one point. Exumia, it's good to see you. Long time. Like, seriously, long time. But Chili, how you been, man? How's things, dude? Hopefully life's good. I think about Dwarf Fortress like this. If you're looking at it, you're like, this is nonsense, I don't understand any of this, what the fuck am I looking at? You know, that's how I felt the first time I played Civ. It's kind of like being shown Civ for the first time, except it's super, 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 super endgame, and you're like, none of this makes any sense to me, and all I see is, like, symbols. So Gumbo wanted to be the angriest child who's an 8-year-old lady. Gumbo is not injured and in the hospital like the others that are injured and in the hospital. Gumbo is a pessimist, is very greedy, is sometimes acts with little determination and confidence, finds helping others emotionally rewarding, does not easily fall in love, and rarely develops positive feelings, generally acts with a narrow focus on the current activity, and tends to avoid any physical confrontations, works to spread its natural tendency with her respective martial prowess, and doesn't handle stress well. Occasionally overindulges and is troubled by this because she values self-control. She's not inherently proud of her talents and accomplishments, and she needs alcohol to get through the working day, and does not mind being outdoors, at least for a time, and doesn't really care about much thing anymore. You're never online during the day. Oh, is it just a timing thing? Gotcha. Dreams of mastering a skill and personally sees perseverance in the face of adversity, bullheaded and foolish, and sees self-control as... sees self-control, values self-control, and doesn't really value merrymaking. That's where I was going. Dreams of mastering a skill and personally likes native silver, copper. You're preparing a lavish meal and listening to stream. There you go. What's in your lavish meal, my friend? Sounds like you. I mean, hey. Likes native silver, copper, brown jasper, and green glass. I wasn't seeing that comma, so I was trying to read copper, brown, jasper. Like, that's not a thing. Green glass and cave spider silk, the color indigo, bolts, peafowls for their coloration, and when possible prefers to consume wine and single grain wheat flour, and absolutely hates mussels. Member of the creed of cobalt. And your older half-brother, Googs, is dead. Gumbo and Googs. Man, what a couple. What a couple of kids. Your mom must hate you. And then we've got Fast, the adult, the mom. No father to be seen. Sad story, probably. saw a lot of things, dead bodies. Morning, Lennox. What'd you miss? Literally nothing. You're still alive. And you are the mayor. And you're conducting a meeting. That's what's going on. Diamond, it's good to see you. You have 4 years to sub to share. You missed a hype train? Which ended 31 minutes ago. A haggard 8-year-old. It's been a life, man. It's been a life. Let's check my doctoring tabs, actually. What's going on with doctoring? If I pop open the medical thing and scroll down. Okay, so Guts over here is making a silk shoe. Nobody's diagnosing patients. Who's my diagnoser? Almost. Who's almost? Almost is too busy reading. Nice. Let's just make a second one of these. Is Vabok doing any medical things? Yeah, you're just a doctor. Let's throw Bunny in there. Although, actually, does that remove Bunny from Captain of the Guard? No, it doesn't. Also, you're sleeping. Let's get one more diagnoser. Diagnoser is just like one of the more important jobs in the doctor's thing because it's the one that happens first. Let's give it to Pumpy McDwarves. Why not? Yes, 30 minutes. Diamond, 30-minute cooldown. Hey, chat. Diamond needs a hype train in 30 minutes because they have a sub to share. You need to update your card info. Well, you do you.
Crypt wave, my fam emote less than 3.
We've probably got some new ones. You wrecked what? You didn't wreck anything. Oh, you mean that you didn't like do it in time to start a hype train? Well, I mean, there's no rules. You can do what you want. Thank you very much, though. Seriously, for this 37th month. I don't think that we had Crypt Arrive when you were here last. Crypt Arrive is pretty great. That's all I'm saying. So I'm just going to jump over here real quick. And just set you to melt. Because I definitely have stuff that I can melt. I also have some platinum that I can do stuff with. Even if it's just one. And let's just go... Let's just make 5 platinum goblets, I guess. Ah. A vile course of darkness has arrived. My squads are ready to go, although not that well armed. Because we're using obsidian swords and wooden shields and leather armor. But we must protect the fort. Thankfully, my soldiers are actually quite well skilled, so we should be okay. I mean, as you can see, they've been busy. Their weapons are not much, but should be okay. We also have some snatchers, which are the first to arrive. Several snatchers, in fact. Several more snatchers. And more snatchers. I should turn off that notice. That was important for the last fort, but not so much for this fort. I'm also going to move them up here. The soldiers. So, some of the dwarves do have weapons. Like this one. Nutgasafarik, or whatever the name of this is. This is an artifact gold sword. Not the most effective, but good whack stick it makes. Volbok, the militia commander, is chasing after this goblin, who is doing their best to run away. Volbok has slashed at them several times, and they've run away. Down in here, we do have some chaos breaking out. As for soldiers, if I zoom out a wee bit, do I have any other soldiers in the vicinity? I should. Okay, it looks like I don't. Where are they, though? Let's just wait. We do have a dead human corpse on the ground all of a sudden. I'm not sure who killed that, but somebody did. That actually may have been previous. We've also got dwarves that are running away really quickly. And it seems that Volbach has turned around and has blocked a bolt and is now fighting with the first of the goblins in the list. Fighting very effectively, slashing at the goblin in the upper body with his sword, tearing the muscle, which shatters the right ribs, and tears apart the heart. Right in the lover. I'm sure this goblin has had a bad day now due to their heart going away, which is unfortunate. The dwarf then moves up forwards and proceeds to clothesline the next goblin in the list. Stabs at the goblin crossbowman in the lower arm. How's the volume levels for the music, by the way? It looks a little loud on my end, but let me know. Do let me know. He stabs at the goblin crossbowman in the upper body with his thingy, once again. With his sword. And an artery has been opened by the attack and many nerves have been severed. Dwarf is getting tired, which is the soonest thing that'll kill him. Backup is coming. Thigh cut here. Clawed metals. Is climbing up and over and immediately starts fighting with the goblin that comes through. Sends them flying backwards because the goblin jumps away after the sword dwarf stabs him with the obsidian short sword, which tears apart the muscle. So this goblin is now in midair and bleeding. As for other dwarves, we've got this dwarf over here who's just sleeping. He's taking a nap. We got a dwarf over here who's dizzy. Do I not have any other soldiers en route? I guess I don't. Over here, my very, very talented tired dwarf, who's now in a martial trance, which is probably going to save his life, is finishing up the rest of the goblins by himself because he's just that cool. He's actually taken a little bit of an injury, but, you know, has 8 kills. Shoutouts to Volbach, the militia commander. The swords master who was here earlier has run off and is now off on his own way. This dwarf over here is now chasing down this bow gob as the militia commander comes running over, having dropped his shield due to an injury, most likely. Thigh cut here was hit by something and is now bleeding pretty heavily. In fact, copper bolt appears to have hit him in the second finger, and the severed part sails off in an arc. So he's bleeding from his hand, which could be a lot worse. I mean, was it really just your finger? Okay, he got hit in the hand pretty bad. So the bleeding is coming entirely from his hand. The bleeding is slowing down pretty quickly because it's just a hand. You'll be okay there, dwarf. It'll make you look cool in the future. Meanwhile, Unib, the animal trainer, has created Done, a bulky alpaca wool vest, and claims it as a family heirloom. That bulky vest is probably doesn't have a sprite, if I were to bet. Yep, doesn't. This is a bulky llama alpaca wool vest. All craft worship is the highest quality. Is encrusted with rectangular cassiterite cabochons encircled with bands of pear wood, oval native platinum cabochons, and rose-cut turquoises, and cushion rowlet cabochons. It is made from alpaca wool cloth. This object menaces with spikes of giant cave toad bone, and on the item is an image of fancy stocked the jailer of deserts, the fungi wood begud in alpaca wool. On the item is an image of geared dyes, the large slick metal glove in copper. This dwarf here doesn't have anybody in a position of power who's related to them. So because it's yours, and it's most definitely yours, I'm going to give it to Bunny. Although that wasn't even the item that I intended to give them. So yeah, it's this. It is now being given to my captain of the guard. So let's jump back over to the squads and see what's going on in that chaos. And then we'll get caught up in chat. My overexerted militia commander is having a hard day. I'm going to move the squads up to here because, oops, that's a tree. They won't go there. They can go there, though. I'm a little bit worried about the militia commander who's about to die. Down here, we also have the tired swords dwarf who just finished stabbing a goblin to death. My militia commander has found the end of their life, which is a massive shame. I'm going to move another one of them to the position of militia commander. Oh, I see. I have to, like, literally appoint a new militia commander. Well, I do have a novice swords dwarf over here, Moses, so you can just have that job. This dwarf pops up top. and is now fighting the entirety of the goblin siege that's remaining. And I'm wondering, where are my army? Where are my soldiers? Like, genuinely, where are they? Like, I don't know. It's a bloody good question. You're sleeping. Okay, well, that's good. You're down there somewhere. You're on your way, I guess. You're over there. Giant Slayer, I need you. We need you desperately. Because Thigh-Cut over here is tired and going to die. Well, between Giant Slayer and Thigh-Cut, we should be okay at this point. They are fighting through the last of the goblins relatively effectively. One martial trance is remaining. And the last few goblin-aligned humans and soldiers appear to be falling. The siege is now cleared. And all is Dwarf. I'm going to get these dwarves training. Vabok's corpse is now on the ground, invisible. It's a damn shame that. We also have a goblin back here who is no longer with us, thankfully. And I'm going to give Vabok a place of honor in one of the fancy tombs. Oopsies. Oh, never mind. Already has a burial chamber assigned, so we're good. I look at the chat and all I see is Diamond. Hi, Diamond. Last night you had almost a total party wipe, one lone survivor. I didn't even know what we're talking about. Goblin Firebug? I don't know what we're talking about. What goblin firebug? People talk about these bugs as if like I'm supposed to know what they're talking about, and I have no idea what you're referring to. You're kind of wondering with them getting new sprites with the Forgotten Beasts if they'll eventually add new sprites and body parts if they get hacked off too. I think that is the long-term plan. I mean, Tarn's talked about that. Out in Abundance, it's good to see you. You clicked Dwarf. I'm glad you clicked Dwarf. Congrats on clicking Dwarf. Chat, can I get a big round of beers as a success for our fancy fight that we just had? And almost immediately a battle, quite right. Well, now it's over, but there was a battle. Now we just have to clean up after the battle. And I'm sure that'll be fine for moods, right? I mean, it's not too bad. Another thing I'm going to do is actually, I do kind of want to unpiss off my children a little bit. So let's actually just go to chores and just remove cleaning. And I turned this on a while ago because things got bad. So I'm just going to turn off things that tend to annoy children. Just to throw a party. This is true. The way that they would... the way that the dwarves would want to be respected, you know? So the worst bug right now that I'm aware of in the game is that dead dwarves keep their beds, which is awful. And I've told Tarn about this bug, and he says that he's working on it, and his way of claiming that he was going to start working on it right away was time to start caving in some ceilings on bedrooms owned by dwarves. Or time to start killing dwarves who own bedrooms, basically, and figure out what the source of the bug is. Simply put, when a dwarf dies, they still remain claimed owner of their bedroom, which is bad. Like, really bad. And it's because you manually have to go through and, like, remove dwarves that die from bedrooms that they had. It kind of sucks. It's maybe the most annoying, like, unfixed bug that we've had in a long time that I remember, off the top of my head anyway. Because it persists. It's like, well, gotta deal with all these dead dwarves now by going through and manually clicking every single bedroom and seeing which one had people die. Like that one. You can't grasp what the fuck is happening. How much time have you played? How many tutorials and or videos of the basics have you watched? This is a game where, like, the first 30 hours is what in the shit? And then eventually you get past that portion, and that's where it kicks in. It is not a game that you can get into in a short period of time, which is fair. I mean, like, I think everybody who plays this game goes through that. I did. most of chat probably has. So that's a relatable feeling. But it's something that you kind of have to stick with. Otherwise, it'll just be difficult to get into for basically forever. But there's only one way to do that, and that's with persistence. It's certain, like, yeah, what WTF period is shorter than it was, but it's still definitely there. I mean, and that's all it really is it's a what the shit period. And once you kind of get through it, though, it does eventually begin to show its true colors, which is what makes the game special. Which is not good for keeping dwarves happy in the long term, Lamau. Yeah, no, it's a really bad bug, and they need to fix it. It's really bad because it's just sitting there, and I think it's because like it kicked in right when Tarn got sick. Like basically Tarn patched the game, that bug got introduced, and then Tarn got sick the next day, from what I can tell, and so he just like hasn't looked at the bug patch, like the the like fixing bugs. What's the word? Bug report form, probably. That should be the word that I'm looking for. Anyway, Tarn just hasn't been factoring in that for a while, and that's not ideal, to put it simply. Let's just get all of these dwarves back inside. I don't really want them running around in the caverns right now. Just need to close this. Like, honestly, I wouldn't... Like, I've played this game for tens of thousands of hours, right? And I wouldn't say that I understood what I was doing all of the time for at least 300, 400 hours. But that was because I was playing the game in ASCII, and 80% of what I was doing was going, what the shit? And then looking at something for a minute, and then looking it up on the wiki and trying to figure out what everything was. Without having that barrier to entry, it is easier to get into, for sure, but it's still not easy, right? Like, it is a slow process getting into Dwarf Fortress, and I hope you stick with it, because if you want to like it, you're halfway there. If you're enjoying what you're doing, you're most of the way there. And it is very much doable. It is something that I think everybody is capable of learning, because it's far from impossible. It is undeniable, though, that getting into Dwarf Fortress is a challenge. That it takes everybody a little bit of time. But it is a very rewarding thing if you can get past that initial hump of challenge. What's this giant D? It looks friendly. And in-game and IRL? Oh, probably, Bob. I mean, I will also say Dwarf Fortress has never been hard to learn. It just used to take a lot more time to learn. It's like it is easier to learn now, but it still takes a lot of time. I honestly, I think like the best way to learn Dwarf Fortress, though, and this was the way back in the day, and it's still the way now, is with community. Like, if you run into something that confuses you, just ask a question. Either sit in a YouTube or a Twitch stream, pop open a guide that you think is like followable. It doesn't even need to be understandable. It just needs to be something that you think that you can follow. Find a guide that you have an easy time following, and just start playing. And whenever you run into things that you think are confusing, ask a friend for help. Rinse, repeat. That is the best way to get into Dwarf Fortress. And the reason it's the best way to get into Dwarf Fortress is because it's literally just a game that you learn by doing. And the more of it you play, the less daunting it becomes with time. You learned DF play watching my stream. Did you watch my stream before or after Dwarf Fortress, Diamond? I can't remember if you watched in the pre-DF days. My memory isn't what it used to be. I've gotten old and smoked a lot of weed. Let's continue these stairs. You were in the Long Death days? So you started watching during the Dwarf Fortress era then? Right, that's another thing that I did is I got rid of a lot of jobs. Rock, blocks. I love this keyboard. Why did I wait so long to get a new keyboard, chat? What the hell? Keep getting stuck in trees? So if your dwarves are getting stuck in trees, one of two things are happening. Thing number one, stuff is scaring your dwarves. Thing number two, you have one of these, or not one of these, one of these zones, a gather fruit zone, and you have this task enabled. Now I have it enabled. I would disable it if you keep having that problem. I have it enabled because I have a bunch of step ladders. Hi, Neezer. It's good to see you. But the other thing that can scare dwarves up trees is that term right there. They can get startled. So if a dwarf gets scared by something, usually a big, angry animal, they can get chased up trees and then get stuck in trees and then have to slowly come out of trees because they're stuck in trees. You don't have one to pick fruit? Yeah, they're probably chasing Kias. My best advice, if you're new to the game, is dig down until you get to dirt and then keep the majority of your, or through the dirt and into like rock, and keep the majority of your fort underground. Because if your fort is mostly underground and mostly on one layer, you'll have a much easier time managing your fortress than if you are building on multiple layers. Because I think that's the hardest part about like learning the obtuseness of, why do you have bins and barrels? What? I thought I turned that off multiple times. What the hell? The hardest part about learning Dwarf Fortress is learning to work with the multiple Z levels. However, that does become a lot easier to manage with time, specifically just, I guess, exposure therapy. Maybe a bad way to put it, but more or less with exposure therapy, Dwarf Fortress does become an easier game to manage. And the easiest way to do that is just simply through staring at it. And the easiest way to stare at it is by playing it. But if you dig down to rock and start building on rock, you will have an easier time learning to look at Dwarf Fortress. And you'll also have less problems with things getting stuck in trees and such. But yeah, Kia are not the only things that'll steal your stuff. Another thing that really like to steal your stuff is not Kia. Like lemurs and various other monkeys. Whoa, 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 whoa. What the fuck did I do? Well, I just dropped a bunch of dwarves into lava. I'm not actually sure how I did that. That should have been connected. Did I not leave the top one up? I guess I didn't. It must have been disconnected somewhere. I was trying to get extra blocks. Well, shit. So Zon, Onol, and what was the other one? Well, that's unfortunate. I thought they were supported, but crap. Well, not much I can do about that. Fuck. Well, nobody's perfect, myself included. I was under the impression that those were going to be connected, but I guess not. Crap. Oh well. I'll memorialize those when the opportunity shows itself. Being unconscious in a pool of lava is just a fancy way of saying dead. That's all that is. Let's go all the way up to the top. Yeah, no, I guess I did deconstruct the top one. Well, shit. I thought I erased that, but... Anyways, some migrants have arrived despite my stupidity. Welcome, newbies. You're a surgeon. In fact, an accomplished surgeon. Well, that's lovely to see. We're gonna need more of those. You're a novice at stitches. Welcome to the fort. You're a Marks Dwarf. Are you brave? You dream of mastering a skill. I need a new Marks Dwarf lever. Leader. I'm gonna start rebuilding that squad. Also, it seems that Ton, one of the dwarves who's about to arrive, who hasn't walked in yet, has a pet baby goose. In lava. Well, they were unconscious from the actual collapse. So, honestly, like, it's a bloody shame, but could have gone worse. Like, more dwarves could have died from that. So, I have to make more pickaxes, though, most likely. This squad here needs another dwarf, and you're a hammer dwarf, so go grab a weapon, start whacking people. I also need to make a dormitory. I mean, they probably could feel the rumble in the upper towers. Yeah, no. Well, here's the thing. Burning to death in Dwarf Fortress is actually one of the least bad ways to go. And I know that that might sound silly, but worry about it this way for a second. While that might sound silly, like, oh, that seems like a horrible way to die, right? Here's the thing. While that might seem like a horrible way to die, and it probably is, the reason it's not actually that bad is when you burn to death, Dwarf Fortress has no, like, in-game indicator for pain when you're on fire. Can you be that baby goose? I think I may have multiple. No, it's just the one. When you are on fire, there is no negative pain feelings. So usually all that happens is they start bleeding and get annoyed because they're choking on smoke. So of all of the ways you could die, they rarely are terrified when they're burning to death or dying in lava. They're usually just mildly annoyed having choked on smoke. So Nixumia the Gosling is emotionally obsessive, forming lifelong attachments even if they aren't reciprocated, often is cheerful, and tends to think before acting, could be considered rude, and occasionally can lose focus on the matter at hand. Honk. And sometimes acts with little determination and confidence and doesn't seek out excitement and tries to keep things orderly. YouTube, the first person to put 3 bush or tree related emojis gets to name an inanimate object and or animal or dwarf or whatever have you. Please send more migrants. There we go. God damn it. Stop sending cavies. Jesus Christ, Dorfus. Actually, I also need to geld that kitten. You've reached 60 hours on your first fort, and you got to 40 dwarves and only 3 casualties, but you haven't found the caverns yet. You're waiting for something catastrophic to happen. Pro tip, Punisher. If you wait for something catastrophic to happen, it probably won't. Dwarf Fortress is a, like, think about playing Dwarf Fortress like playing D&D with yourself. And you're the DM. So if you're playing D&D with 4 friends and you have no DM, and you start off in a tavern, and you're like, all right, we're waiting for a quest. Well, you need somebody to come up with the quest. Dwarf Fortress doesn't make catastrophic things happen, usually. There are some situations where that can happen, but especially if you have 60 dwarves, or sorry, 40 dwarves total or 40 armed dwarves. If you have 40 armed dwarves, you need to make the catastrophic thing happen. If you haven't found the caverns yet, very little is going to happen. You find the caverns by digging down, and if you haven't found it and you've hit the bottom, dig out. If you want catastrophic things to happen, go invade somebody. Start a fight. Attack a tower, a necromancer tower. Amass a shit ton of wealth and attack something. You need to make things happen. Okay, so yeah, you will get stuff happening. Yeah, this isn't RimWorld. RimWorld is a game that tries to be a game. Dwarf Fortress is a roleplay sandbox. So unless you've intentionally put your fort somewhere where things will attack you, which is something you kind of have to go out of your way to do, especially in bigger worlds, you're not going to just get attacked by things. Unless you've settled in Untamed Wilds or like a terrifying biome, which I gather you haven't, if you're waiting for something. So don't wait, seek, if that makes sense. This isn't anybody's pet cavey. It doesn't have a name. It's just a stray cavey. Clutch, Superior, what would you want named? Yes. Yeah, I mean, Cyclopses aren't that crazy, right? So, like, what Dwarf Fortress does is if you are in the vicinity of something in the world, this could be a dragon, it could be a Cyclops, it could be a Minotaur, it could be goblins. If there are things in the vicinity and they notice that you're there because you have enough population for them to notice that you're there, or because you are exporting enough wealth for them to notice that you're there, either of those things could attract them. You will get things attacking you or things coming after you. However, if you didn't settle somewhere where things will notice that you exist, they're just going to ignore you forever. Period. So it's up to you, the player, to go seek out those interactions. Those interactions won't seek you out. You know, I read that wrong, Zalvi, the first time. The first time I read it, it read like you had locked somebody in your basement. And I was about to be very concerned. So I'm glad that's not the case. Yes, if you wish to meet human beings, you must leave the space that you live if nobody else lives there. I was like, man, that's dark, dude. But yes, I mean, it did read that way, right, Diamond? Like, you want to name somebody Hammerface? What do you want to name Hammer? Do you want to name a military dwarf Hammerface? Feels pleasure near a fine bridge. There's no bridges here. This dwarf just felt pleasure near a fine bridge when they arrived. There's no bridge here. Huh. So you also had a hold up. Okay, cool. You want to name a military dwarf Hammerface? I don't have anybody using a hammer. Are you the one using a mace? Yeah, here. We'll give you this mace lord. Name them Hammerface. Hammered face. That's what you intended, right? No, hammer face. They're hammered and they have a face. Well, they're using a mace. So hammer face with the mace is does everything in her power to avoid excitement and stress, including beating the shit out of it. And she is not bothered by this in the slightest. She's not bothered by the slightest deviations from the norm or even extreme differences in lifestyle or appearance. I'm just checking something real quick. or even extreme differences in lifestyle or appearance. She has no ambition whatsoever, is very trusting, and she is unfriendly and disagreeable, and she is conflicted by this for more than one reason. She finds helping others emotionally rewarding, and she tries to do things correctly each time. She tends to be passive in discussions, and she tends to form mainly tenuous emotional bonds with others. She can often experience strong cravings or urges. She does not often experience strong cravings or urges, and she prefers to present herself modestly, and she can handle stress. She needs alcohol to get through the working day, and she does not mind being outdoors at least for a time, and does not really care about anything anymore. It might be the tax man, but they'll be... True, it might be the mailman, or the tax man, or the fax man who's here to deliver your fax machine that you ordered, or deliver facts, one of the two. Back in the day, we called that cat fax, and it appeared on my phone, and my bill just got bigger. It was crazy. She believes that those who sacrifice for others should be deeply respected, and values a harmonious existence, and dreams of creating a great work of art in this dream was realized. She likes native gold and nickel silver and alexandrite and blue jay leather and the color dark green, short swords and weapon racks and crowns and mules for their stubbornness, and two-legged rhino lizards for their horn, and the sound of the cobalt boulders, and when possible prefers to consume guava wine and blackberries, and absolutely hates fire snakes, and is a legendary mace dwarf, and has killed a cave crocodile, a goblin, and the fierce razor, who's an elf. And you wield a electrum mace, and all crafts dwarfship is of the highest quality, and it is studded with electrum and bands of spider silk. And currently, you are walking on one foot due to a foot bone that smashed open. That should probably heal. I think that we should change the subject, Zalvi, because one, this is grim, and two, this is weirding me the fuck out. So let's change the subject. It's probably the best for everybody, honestly. So Zalvi, how are you doing? Just saying. How's your day been? Concerns about what lives in your general vicinity aside. I think it's a fair statement, Diamond. Just vibing? Living in the vibrations. Well, let's keep those vibes good, then. Instead of weird and or awkward. Let's see. I need 20. Well, okay. We're getting there with the day site. Let's just move on. Let's just move on. Just for the best. You know? I don't want to know about who's locked in your basement or about what you're worried about people visiting you in your basement. It's fine. How about let's talk about inanimate collections you have stored in your basement? Like, I don't have a basement, but I do have a almost big enough closet to walk into. Well, I do have a basement, technically. There's two things in my basement. I have two empty Rubbermaid containers, and I don't know what to do with them. And an extra bicycle wheel. That's what I have in my basement. Speaking of basement, Zon fell into the basement and is now missing. I wonder why. Not to be confused with Zon John Cena, Toothless Vakar, who also died. Let's throw you in there. Over here, I've got you from the New Dwarves. A summer outdoor chairs and an umbrella. Ooh, you should go set those up. That sounds lovely. I feel like most places in most people's yard would be better with their summer furniture setup if it is summertime, which it is currently summertime. I really actually kind of miss my basement. when I lived with my parents. I realized that your reasoning isn't as nice, but the reason I willingly put my bedroom in the basement, which was partially underground, and the reason I did that was because in the summer, the old house that I grew up in was like on the side of a hill that would just get direct sun through the house all summer, and it would cook on the upper floors, but the basement like stayed like a nice below 20 degrees even during the day in the summer, and except for like the 1 or 2 days a year where the sun like shined directly through my bedroom window, and those were dark days. I mean, they were very bright days, but they were warm. That was the one time my computer overheated and crashed due to overheating. Whereas like the rest of the year, not really a big deal. And I liked those times of the year. They were nice. Is Dwarf Fortress is when you know caused a sticky end. It has been missing for a week. Oh yeah, so-and-so has been missing for a week. Is always going to be an entertaining notification, even though it can get kind of grim. It's like, oh well, that's not good. Anyways, it's like they've been missing for a week. It's like, yeah, geez, I have no. How did that happen? It's funny when the player knows that the dwarf has been missing for a week and the game has only just realized. It's like, you know something the game doesn't know, and then the game notices, and you're like, aha, yes. I wonder what caused that. Does Dwarf Fortress have macros? Yes, but you have to enable keyboard controls. So you have to enable keyboard controls, and then I think it's Control R, yeah. So the macro is now recording, and then, but you can only use them for building designations with keyboard controls enabled. So basically enable keyboard controls, open up the tool you want, do the macro with the on the keyboard hotkeys for like building or digging or like, so it would be like B, F for furniture, and then like, I don't know, R, and then place it with the thing and then press go. But you can only do that with keyboard controls enabled. I don't really ever use them because I don't like everything being identically and uniform, but I realize I'm on the minority there. But simple answer is yes, Dwarf Fortress has macros. Lava's not supposed to be there. Why lava here? Hold on, we got a problem. I'm just trying to figure out how I can fix it. There is a drawbridge down here. I need to pull this. Huh. Thought about hosting MTG nights, but your friend's group is too loud and you were just kicked out. Well, tell them if you want to continue doing the fun thing, you have to not be too loud during the fun thing. At least this side is still working. I'm trying to figure out if this is even accessible currently. I mean, this goes down here, right? Yeah, and hasn't connected to that yet. Huh. I have no idea how that actually happened. I guess this pumped it fast enough that, like, it just overflowed. Dig really deep, Mr. Tom. Like, just keep going down. You'll hit it eventually. It's not draining, and I should have smoothed this. The good news is that this is draining on this side. So this problem will fix itself eventually. The issue is I need to do a bunch of sealing. I guess I should, like, actually fix this. That's a bit annoying. The good news is that issue will eventually fix itself, and I think only one dwarf died. So this is still draining down into here slowly. So that's actually what we need to worry about next. This is, you know, actually becoming accessible pretty soon, which is also good. I guess what I need to do is I need to go on top of this up here and channel through this. But first I need to start pumping this. So I'm presuming a dwarf can make it to that. We've had a little bit of a lava flood, ladies and gents. We're also in an ad break. I need to pause. Hero Matto, thank you very much for that Prime subscription. Chat, can I get a round of beers? Chat, any tips on finding the lava sea? For our friend Tom Edo here. How's the lava draining going? Pretty good. I had a little bit of an overflow, which has burned a few things that were important, but it seems like it's gonna fix itself, so not the biggest deal. Just keep going down. Yeah, and then if you don't hit it, go horizontally in the bottom like 10 layers until you hit warm stone and then dig through it. You know, it's kind of funny, like, it's pretty easy to miss the caverns if you're not paying attention to where you're digging. It's pretty hard to miss the lava sea. I will be back in a moment, chat. You guys can watch this dwarf operate this pump. Sometimes it seems like you'll miss it. Yeah. No, it certainly can be like weird and or difficult to hit it the first time, but good news is the frame rate's fixed itself. This fort was sitting at like 25 frames a second, but I guess everything burning down in the basement has like sped the frame rate up. Actually, I can probably also construct this. But yeah, I guess like there's a bunch. I have a question, chat. This is for YouTube and Twitch. I am reading the YouTube chat even if I don't respond to it as often. Who here picked up the game in the last sale? Like who would hear, like how many people would describe themselves as new to this game? Because like it's been a while since there's been an influx of new players to Dwarf Fort. Just because like there hasn't been any major patches since like February or March, whenever Adventure Mode released was kind of the last major patch. So it's just been like smaller routine patches, which are less flashy. So it's been slower since, it's been a while since like an influx of players, but we've had like a bunch of people today who are like, I just got into the game from April or so. Okay, fair enough. Pencil. Gotcha. I think like I think most people that engage with YouTube more than Twitch are newer. No, I get a higher number of people engaging on YouTube that are, or on Twitch that are new. I think people stumble on rather in the chat. I see a lot less. I see more new people who are like asking a bunch of questions about getting into the game on Twitch than YouTube still. But that's probably just a show of like just raw numbers. Now, are you going to start bubbling up? That's what I want to know. Because you're still draining. Basically, I want to block this off properly. Well, I mean, I think the reality is, Jesse, a lot of people find the YouTube stream and then start watching on Twitch. Like, people move over to Twitch pretty quickly, usually, so. You've only been about a month and change, gotcha. I also think that, like, a lot of people find the YouTube videos first, which makes sense because they're tutorials. You're getting into Twitch because of my Dwarf Fortress YouTube shorts and Dwarf Fortress YouTube instructional videos. The reason I prioritize Twitch over YouTube, just the one sentence simple version, is Twitch is a much better platform from the creator side for streaming. YouTube is a better platform for video, obviously. Like Twitch, it doesn't do that. So like, I just try to use each platform to their strengths. So I prioritize Twitch because it's better for my use case. And in some cases, I prioritize YouTube where it makes sense. Yeah, I've had some people ask me recently, it's like, what's the future of the quick tutorials franchise series of videos? Because like, they kind of don't make much sense to make as like, okay, Colgotten. It doesn't make as much sense in the current year to make videos that are 3 minutes long. So it's likely those will, if they return, will primarily just be shorts, and then longer guides will accompany them, like a complete guide that's like 30 minutes long alongside of a couple of shorts that explain quick things. Is likely where that's going to go, because that's just where the platforms are going, but yeah, like the day that I released 20-something 2-minute YouTube videos, it was like 3 to 5 minute long YouTube tutorials, and I released like 22 of them in one day. I mean, as long as you're okay with me responding less consistently, Claren, you're more than welcome to watch on YouTube. Watch where you find more, like, what's the word? Cozy? Comfortable? Convenient? It's all fine to me. Just remember to leave a like on the YouTube stream, YouTube peoples. This playthrough has inspired you to build your first DF castle. Hell yeah! Surface forts are great. They really are. I unironically love surface forts. They're so much fun. Why are you weaponless? You probably just can't acquire it. Forgotten beast Athra Emarina has come, an enormous humanoid composed of coral. It has wings, and it squirms and fidgets. Beware its poisonous vapors. Where is it? Ah. It's in the layer where it doesn't have access to the fort, as far as I know, unless it can fly. But it does have access to this other Forgotten beast who's also trapped in this corner. So we're going to get a Forgotten beast fighting a Forgotten beast. Man, I can't wait until these guys have colored sprites. Okay, so it can fly, so it's a good thing that it's fighting with that other one. It's also injured and now down in the corner. Oh, its wings got fractured. So they have climbed over the trees and are now going back to fighting. This one over here, which is bleeding heavily, which just killed it, is a gigantic Dimetrodon with external ribs. It has thin wings of stretched skin and a bloated body. Its saffron scales are close set. Beware its noxious secretions. And it has quite a few kills. Not all in this. No. No, these wouldn't be in this fort, but it did kill a bunch of things. This one, yeah, that one it must have killed here too. Previous Forgotten Beast, but it has killed a bunch of other things previously in Goblin locations and is now bleeding pretty profusely. It killed it by scratching the Forgotten Beast in the lower body and making it fall to pieces. It's no longer bleeding, but it is pretty injured post that fight. Is the option to view it in 3D real time. That's never going to happen as a default feature. But go to Google and type in Armok Vision. I personally never want that and don't want that. I thought I did. What I really want is I want somebody to update the old, and I do mean old mod that let you export Dwarf Fortress saves to Minecraft. This was like a Java like 2013 Minecraft era. There was a tool that would let you export Dwarf Fortress maps and import them into Minecraft. That was a really cool tool, but there are two tools that you could theoretically use. Armok Vision is probably the one you want. Mr. Tom Ebo? Yeah, or Edo, rather. Mr. Tom Edo. I don't know why my brain was reversing that looking like a bee, but I glanced at it. That would be my assumption of what you're looking for. That's the sort of thing that you need to go to third-party mods for, or third-party tools, not really mods. No, you wouldn't be able to run adventure mode in Minecraft. No, it literally was just like a static export. Like just a static like map export. And it was just the map that you played on in Fortress mode. So you just have like a weird empty block in the middle of your world with just like your fort in it. That's all it was. It was just like that. And Senex Laratus, thank you very much for the Prime subscription. Chat, can I get a round of beers for that brand new Prime sub? So this will drain. Yeah, it is draining. Will and is draining, which is nice, but not optimal, shall we say. So if I block this off, that'll completely seal this section off, and then I can deconstruct this and do shenanigans. Because I'd like to get rid of this water. I think maybe the easiest way to get rid of this water actually is probably... Okay, this is kind of silly. The easiest way to get rid of this water is actually just to build a floor on this. And then just dig through this. Let it flow in. It's the easiest way to get rid of the water on this side. As the dwarves slowly work on this. Kogan the ghostly miner has been laid to rest, which is good. You only play Fortress mode anyway? I would recommend playing Adventure mode, but I don't play a ton of Adventure mode. I play Adventure mode as like a way to make embarking more exciting, or more player-driven is maybe the better way of putting it. As an example, Adventure mode is... The last video I made about the Vampire Fort, at the start of it, I did maybe a 20-minute adventure. It was like less than 2 hours. It was pretty short. Most of it was spent in character creation. I made a bunch of interesting adventurers, and I adventured to the location of my new fortress, and I embarked them there. Thanks for the bits, rubbish. Then once I did that, I had more interesting characters in the fortress because I had adventurers in the fortress. And then after that fortress was over, and I'm gonna make a video about this, I did another adventure which lasted, it was like 3 streams, but that was a pretty long one for me. I did another adventure after that adventure was finished, or after that fortress was finished, where I trained an adventurer from nothing and then went and killed a bunch of the dwarves in my old fort. There's some things that you can do in adventure mode that make fortress mode a lot more fun. Like, genuinely, even if you don't spend that much time. Like, even if it's just like, I make a party of 15 goblins and just walk directly to a fortress. It's also a fun way to explore maps before you go there. I don't know. It's just, the reason I push people into trying it or messing with it is because Dwarf Fortress is more of an engine than a game in a lot of ways. And playing adventure mode, like I used to be that way, where it was like I only play Fortress mode. Like I was that way for a very long time. So I understand that that feeling, like the you know, it's just not, and I like roguelikes too. So Like, it's kind of a thing for me, but I was that person for a really long time where, yeah, I just play Fortress mode, it's fine. It's the mode I like more. Which is true, it is the mode I like more. However, I don't feel like I actually properly appreciated Dwarf Fortress until I started playing a little bit of adventure mode. So just play a little bit of it here and there. Mess with it. Try the combat now and then. Because genuinely there is some really interesting stuff in there. You just kind of have to take the time to experience it. But that's just me. You do you. Specifically in that, like, I don't feel like I fully appreciated the combat in Dwarf Fort until I learned it in adventure mode. So that's all. You know, you can already... oh, you mean like specifically aim for its eye? Because like I'm pretty sure I've killed, like, not a Cyclops, but I've definitely killed things by throwing coins into their brain before. But I like how... like, the ranged combat's supposed to make, like, using bows and, like, crossbows a more viable thing in adventure mode, and you're just like, nah, I'm still gonna do the old thing. I just want to be able to throw specifically at limbs. Tarn's gonna spend all this time, like, remaking a whole weapon class, and you're just gonna be like, nah, I'm still just gonna do, like, the weird hacky thing that players have been doing for forever. I'm just gonna be more specific about it now. The coin throwing room from months ago? More like... what year is it? 2025? More like 2009? I remember that from way back when... That's something else that's funny about playing Dwarf Fortress for too damn long, is people thinking that all this stuff's new. Like, oh, I remember when somebody did that 2 months ago. I was like, I remember when somebody did that 15 years ago. Also, like, does anybody here remember Creature Keepers? Me and my coin catapult was shooting coins at goblin armies and entirely eviscerating an entire goblin army with one minecart full of coins. Also, thank you very much for the $5, Senex Aretus. The name means grumpy old man, just got into the game. You've been watching the tutorials and VODs. Happy to help. Glad you appreciate the work. Did they patch the minecart thing? Which minecart thing? Here's the thing. When people ask, did they patch the thing? You need to be specific. Like, if you're talking about, like, disposing of water with minecarts, there's, like, 15 ways of disposing with water, and one of them does include minecarts. No, they have not patched the minecart thing. I mean, you also don't need a minecart to drain stuff. You can drain stuff just by digging to the edge of the map. Yeah, my experience of DF is remembering things from before people were born. Oh yeah, most definitely. And then people who were born more recently, discovering those old things and being shocked that A, they don't work, or B, thinking that they discovered something new. And it's like, no, to both of those. One, no, that probably doesn't work. And also, no, it's not new. But, you know, such is life. I'm just happy that you can still fit 9,999 dragons into one tile as long as... Sorry, I'm still happy that you can fit 1,000 dragons into one tile as long as 999 of them are lying down. It's like the realization that Dwarf Fortress is actually just Paper Mario. Still, maybe one of my favorite ones. You're here for the cat explosions? I'm here for child mind control. Only real ones remember the dwarven child mind control. Only real ones. This is gonna be a pain in the ass, isn't it? Yeah, child mind control, because Tarn changed how the code for mothers carrying their babies around works. So instead of mothers carrying their babies around, well, babies technically ride their mothers. Like, you know, it's like sitting on their mom's shoulders kind of thing. And Tarn changed how mounts work so that goblins could attack dwarves with mounts, and forgot that baby dwarves use the same code. So he set it so that the thing on top was driving instead of the thing that it was riding was driving, which is the way it was before. So that you could ride mounts in adventure mode, not just go wee and just zip off wherever the creature wants to go, as often, except for when they get mad and panic and take control. But anyway, that was the same code that babies were using to get carried around by their parents. And so then mom just took baby AI when baby was born. So the result was baby would just make mom walk in circles until mom died of starvation. For about a solid 2 weeks. That was, I think, 47.01. I want to say it was like the first version 47 update. And then the only way to fix it was either burrow the baby and the mother on a food stockpile and the mom would just eat. Or, although you had to hope that they would also land on, or like step onto a tile with food and a tile with alcohol. Otherwise, they would just starve to death. Or you could just turn on dwarven contraception, which is what I did, which is just make it impossible for, like, it's like just a mod that or not a mod. It's you go into the init files and you just make it impossible for them to have children, which is what I did for like that 2 weeks period of time. Yeah, it was a fun time. It was a long couple of weeks. Glad this is actually draining quite quickly, because it's draining down here. It's kind of annoying more than anything. Let's go up to, it's up here, right? Yeah, you're still draining. It's here that I needed to go to. Parasite Baby sounds like a indie music group that I would like. What do I have for bars right now? Just gonna make some iron picks. It's because they can't be made out of anything else. And let's go into here, and I'm just going to assign some more miners. This can actually go away. It's starting to bug me. But yeah, if bows are short, if you're talking about using minecarts to dispose of lava, I don't think they've changed how minecarts work in the time I've played this game. Like in the last, like they added minecarts, and I think that's basically just been it. So no, nothing to do with minecarts have been changed. Although there's a lot of weird like physics bugs and things with minecarts that like are being intentionally left in the game because people would be sad if they went away. Which, like, something that I've always loved about this game, and will probably love about this game forever, is that this game values its players and likes it when we have fun. There's a lot of games that hate their players and don't like it when they have fun. Dwarf Fortress is not like that. Dwarf Fortress likes when the players have fun. So if there's a mechanic that we like or a bug that we've adopted as a mechanic, it almost never gets patched. And the reason for that is as long as it's not like breaking the game, making the game crash, making things worse, causing frame rate problems or like issues that like on paper need to be fixed. As long as that's not happening, generally Tarn is just just have fun kind of person. And I respect that about this game. And will kind of always respect that about this game. It's literally one of my favorite parts of Dwarf Fortress is the fact that Dwarf Fortress operates in the, well, does it make the game bad? If the answer is no, then yeah, it's fine. Just leave it. A jeweler withdraws from society. We're going to get a strange mood from a jeweler. Oh, come on. Jeweler made me jump over here. So you've claimed that jeweler shop. All right. What was the thing that got patched out, Dogma? That you ran into? I'm assuming it was something to do with version 50 because it was 2 years ago. But what was it specifically that you missed? That's the one I want to get rid of right there. Okay, so these getting added on to is going to speed this process up pretty considerably. Will visiting a fort in adventure mode after reaching the bottom always spawn a billion clowns? Only if you dug too deeply. It doesn't always spawn a billion of them. So no? Unless they were on the map already. If they were on the map already, yeah, that can happen. But only if you left them there. Things don't just spawn, things are already there, and if the game is trying to account for them already being there, they might be in a location you don't expect. Yeah, I'm really curious, Dogma, as to what it was that got changed. I'll tell you this, if you ever get the opportunity to meet Tarn, you should. I've met a lot of game developers over the years. A lot of them are not people, and generally just kind of there to make their thing and then not worry about other things. And it's kind of obvious, or can be standoffish or awkward to talk to. Tarn is like just excited to hear your weird ass story. And I've stood in a crowd of like half a dozen people before, watching person after person just tell the funny thing about that happened to their fortress 5 years ago. And he's just like happy to be there. He's just a really nice guy. It's not so much being like a fan of a game developer, because being a fan of Tarn doesn't really feel like being a fan of a game developer, if that makes sense. It's more like being a fan of a weird outsider artist. Well, I mean, Tarn moved to the UK, so I don't know where you are exactly, but that's a lot of magma crab. Huh. I'm gonna have to deal with some magma crab at some point. So this can drain this out, hopefully quicker than not. Was that causing lag? No, all of the lava I was pumping was causing lag. Can magma crabs be cooked? I don't even think they can be butchered, because they're rocks. Also, Dilfo, it's good to see you. Bronze Warhammers, watching them just knock the goblin siege over the edge. Oh, genuinely entertaining as hell. Oh, we're in an ad break. You completely missed that? It was pretty quiet. Cross and Colossus. Also, Tarn does a talk like every year at a university in Austria, and there's another one in Sweden that he does a talk at almost every year. So, I don't know. He just doesn't talk about where he's going to be very much. Because, like, he came from, like, academia, right? So, because, like, he came from academia, he still has, like, a lot of annual talks and things that he does at universities because of the fact that he used to teach. So he shows up in places that like aren't really always game adjacent. No, it's like mathematics. Like, they're not recorded or posted anywhere, so I'll be honest with you, I don't know the content of those talks he does. He also did one in Prague earlier this year or something? I made sure that there were no hostiles before retiring the fort with DF hack, but there was a horde of them killing everything when you visited. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, like, here's the thing. Always, no. Can weird shit happen that I've never seen before? Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, that's the kind of the beauty of it, Kyle, is like, when the world sim takes over, weird shit happens. Like, I've definitely, like, left a fort and come back and it's flooded and I couldn't tell you why. But that is part of the charm, I guess. My favorite thing is, like, I think my most requested adventure mode fort is people want me to visit my ghost fort. I tried. I genuinely did. You travel to that area, you enter the map, and just immediately die to a ghost. Like, within seconds of entering the map, you just die immediately. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, in regards to Tarn moving, he didn't talk about it a ton loudly. I mean, it kind of came up. But yeah, it was very much a one post on the Bay 12 forums followed by like, then later, I think on it was either in a Future of the Fortress or in the like interview or an interview that Tarn did where he said that, yeah, he'd moved to the UK. It was like around Christmas, I think, that he did like one interview and I think posted about it twice in Future of the Fortress. So like, unless you're very deep in Dwarf Fortress lore. And then thanks to NoClip and Danny O'Dwyer's interviews, we learned that Tarn is now married and is a stepdad. So yeah, he like married a lady from the UK and just moved to the UK. Just trying to drain all this water. It's a kobold. It's impossible. Challenge impossible. Jesse, they will not allow you to enter the ghost fort. So earlier, I was being pestered. Because some of you who know me well know that I like System Shock 1 and 2. Should I look into streaming System Shock 2 Remastered? Would you guys watch that? It would probably be about, I don't know, 4 streams or something. Maybe 5 to get through. It's about a 30-hour game. Because I would do that, but there has to be interest. There has to be interest. But I would have to start seeking key, like, now. To be able to get it. It depends on if it... Well, I know you'd be here, Darius. I'm pretty sure I could just, like, read the dictionary and you'd tune in. Also, not to be too big of a sellout, but you only need to gift 1 subscription, chat, to get number 5 on the gift sub leaderboard. And to get number 1 on the bits leaderboard, you only need to cheer $1.01 in bits. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's financially supported the stream so far today. I am a completely crowdfunded channel. You don't see any sponsored segments on my stream, and the reason for that is I have a support base through Twitch subs and YouTube members and my blog, which is basically like Patreon, but I actually own the thing. So if you're watching this channel and you enjoy the work I do, and you have a hat next to your name in the chat, just know that you are the reason I do this at the scale and consistency and frequency that I do. It's okay. Romanoid Trell. It's like pre-Deus Ex. Deus Ex. It's a first-person RPG. It's not really an old-school shooter. It's more of a, like, immersive sim RPG. Is what it is. So if you're familiar with Deus Ex, same vibe. Sen, thank you very much. Or Sen Laratus. The thing that throws me off about your name here on Twitch is that it's not capitalized. In the YouTube, it has a space. So it's easier to read there, but... Senex Laratus, thank you very much for gifting out a 5-pack. And you've sniped a Cringer in there. That's funny. Here, I'll just give you the nickname Grumpy. Have you said hi to Sleepy recently? How about Happy? Tell Snow White I said hi. I've given you a nickname now, so this is what your name now looks like in my chat. Here, I'll show you. Grumpy. Put it in brackets. We'll remember. Have the elves ever contacted me about a sponsorship? No, but I've lost count of the number of casinos that have tried to get me to stream slots. Usually I just block their email addresses now because they just keep emailing me even when I ask them to stop. Medtob, Terahalarizan, the jeweler, has created Kolalen, a yellow zircon floodgate. Well, that's cool. And offers it to the enjoyable knowledge. A floodgate, you say? This is a yellow zircon floodgate. All craft worship is of the highest quality. It is encrusted with cushioned yellow cabochons and studded with copper, and encircled with bands of pear-cut turquoises and oval jet cabochons, and reindeer leather. This object is adorned with hanging rings of dacite and menaces with spikes of cave spider silk, and maple. On the item is an image of a swordfish in yellow zircon. On the item is an image of icahedra in lemma wool. Well, enjoy your lurks, dude. I do appreciate the lurks. The lurks go a long way. And Crosan Colossus, thanks for the 5-pack as well. Appreciate you. Like, seriously, thank you so much. It's very kind of you. I don't know why I'm doing this manually when I could just get that. I have a question. What's boring about a perfect gem? Perfect gem is the, like, perfect thing to put on a pedestal. I really like perfect gems. I don't know. It's just like... Yeah, I don't know. Big fan of perfect gems. I think the closest thing to elves offering me a sponsorship, Grumpy, or not Grumpy, Grocky is who asked that. The closest thing to elves offering me a sponsorship is probably the Timberborn people trying to pay me to play that game. Because that game's all about wood, right? It's elf adjacent. So yeah, this basically is what I'm trying to finish. So let's just follow someone who's constructing a thing. Because this stairwell being done is going to speed things up considerably. And then I'll build a surface entrance for it. So we'll have like a tunnel going out of the back of the fort into here. But we're getting real damn close. Yeah, I don't know. I really like jeweler moods because, like you said, you get some really unique things. You know, me playing Timberborn, as I also have played Timberborn, it kind of made me just wish I was playing Dwarf Fortress. Although I should actually go back to Timberborn because they've like fixed a lot of the issues I had with that game. There's nothing gross about building out of wood, Bobzob, because elves don't build out of wood. That's very dwarfy. Humans do. But like in adventure mode, if you adventure around elven settlements, they don't construct anything out of wood. That's very dwarfy. Constructing things out of wood is maybe the dwarfiest thing you can do with wood. Outside of maybe picking the delicious fruits. The dwarves have arrived. They're here and ready to trade. I realize, like, to some people that's a controversial thing to say, but in my extensive research, having played this game for too much time, I can say pretty, like, factually that dwarves do not, in fact, there's nothing not dwarfy about building out of wood, because elves do not, in fact, do that. That is simply a dwarven conspiracy from Big Dwarf that is telling dwarves that it is bad to build out of materials such as that. And just because, you know, Big Dwarf Conspiracy is telling you that, doesn't mean it's something you shouldn't do. Because the last thing elves are going to do is chop down a tree and build something beautiful out of it. Dwarves take those big ugly trees and craft them into something magical. Something worth... I don't know where I'm going with this bit. Something worth appreciating, you know? Besides, like, how else are dwarves going to sleep without wood? Come on. It's a ridiculous concept. Actually, let's just go to ammunition. I'm gonna sell a shit ton of ammunition. Also, this is just me defending wood because I think that wood floors in Dwarf Fortress look really nice. Like, they just have a nice texture. Especially in the premium versions, like the mushroom woods from down below, like goblin cap and bloodthorn log floors look really nice. They just have a nice color variety to them. And variety is the spice of life, so... Like, I don't know about you guys, but, like, go to YouTube and watch some Black... Was it Blacktail Studio? That guy that does, like, all of the, like, wood slab tables and stuff on YouTube. Like, what is more crafts dwarfy than that? Wooden bolts are great for, like, knocking gear out of dudes' hands. They're not very good at killing things, though. Got Steam DF, but couldn't get into Classic. Your videos have been a great help. Happy to help, dude. Building with wood is fine. It's just even more dwarfy to turn it into charcoal for your forges. Sure, but what's more dwarfy than turning it into charcoal for your forges? Most of the fuel I get in my forges comes from lava, which is even more dwarfy than charcoal. And I usually try and get my charcoal from coal or lignite instead of charcoal because it's less steps and you get more of it and it's more efficient. So for me, I just do what I want and don't let preconceived prejudices of what dwarves can and cannot do with wood slide. Because I think it looks nice. That's literally it. If it didn't look nice, I wouldn't use it. But it looks nice, so I use it. Buy those bags. I also just grab those anvils. The Codex in practice. I'll grab that. Also grab the cheese. The cheese. And meanwhile, my dwarf here feels happy after improving appraisal. How's your appraisal skill, dwarf? You're an adept appraiser. Well, I mean, so if you import, okay, pro tip, Odin, abundance. If you import wood from elves, meaning you need to have a baron in your fortress and then request that they bring wood. If you import wood from elves, they only bring you grown wood. And if they're only bringing you grown wood, then what you do is you craft stuff out of that and give it back to them and they accept it. Pro tip. You're welcome. May your brain of knowledge feel expanded. Nowadays in Dwarf Fortress, you struggle most with building a base that looks nice to you. Fair enough, you're not that creative in real life. The thing that I try, like, people always ask me to make tutorials about how to make stuff look pretty, and I always just return to one thing, and it's too short to really make into a tutorial. See this? This is limited space, okay? See this? This is unlimited space. In this, it's very easy to just make very symmetrical blocks. Like, it's very easy to just do hallway, room, and just make a perfectly formulated format of specific things. Don't worry about the mess. That was just me clicking quickly. So it's very easy to do that, especially if you're using keyboard controls and macros. Whereas this is limited space. It's a lot harder to build something that is uniform and square in a space like this. So what I recommend if you're trying to get into building things that look interesting and varied, build within the stalactites of the caverns like this. Start digging out, polish the floors if you want, smooth them if you want, you know, build hallways in areas like this, build rooms in spaces like this, and work within that. Working within limitations forces you to do stuff that you don't normally do and breaks you out of your old habits, if your old habit is making stuff that looks less interesting to you. And with time, you'll get better at it. Also, another thing that I find that makes stuff just look a lot better is when you make a square room, just do that. And then when you make a hallway, you know, just do that when you go past that room. Because that already just, I think, it adds a little bit of flair and bling to a space that you don't really get out of just, you know, making a square. Yeah, so try building within constraints. And that, in my case at the very least, very much has helped me learn to build in ways that I think are aesthetically pleasing. And clearly other people find it aesthetically pleasing too, because I get tons of compliments or comments about how I build. So how goes the dwarf fortressing? Still getting started for the day, I think. Chat, how goes the dwarf fortressing for the day, if you've done any dwarf fortressing? Or how are you enjoying this fort? Is there anything about this fort that you're curious about or wondering about that I could help explain better? Suxul, up here, the ghostly farm has risen and is haunting the fortress, just like everybody goddamn else is. My slightly spiffy square. I mean, it's not I'm certainly not the first person to cut the corners off of a square to make a more rounded space, but another thing that I also think helps is trying to make double high rooms, like channeling up when you dig out a room to make it slightly taller and putting pillars and stuff in rooms that don't need to be there. You know, like that scene in Moria in the first Lord of the Rings movie with just like those giant columns. Like try and make 2 and 3 layer tall spaces and like build on those. Like for a defense tower or for throwing people out of, who do I have to throw out? I mean, I've been throwing goblins into the lava sea for a while. Why do I have to make a tower to do that? I have a hole, which is pretty big, which I've been using that for. So no plans for a tower to throw people out of, because that seems just like added mess. I like my enemy disposal mechanisms to be self-cleaning, generally. If I can help it. That's usually what I go for. Much more efficient, yes. Which is why that's what I go for. What mechanic in the game do I like best? that's a bad example. This. The game's persistence. So I really like that characters can change their moods and personalities based on things that have happened, and then in the next fort, that continues. That is my favorite mechanic in Dwarf Fort. If you want like a full video with nothing but that, I recommend watching. This is interesting. My outpost liaison's a goblin and they're just hanging around my wagon. Probably deconstruct that. I think what I'll do is I'll allow them in the net of smiths, because that might be the issue. There you go. Huh. Curious. Curiouser and curiouser. As the last year, my mayor didn't actually get to conduct a meeting, but let's just make sure that this works this time. Is there an upcoming feature I'm excited for? Whatever Tarn adds? We don't have any details or specifics on the siege stuff, so I can't really say. We have some vagueness, but I don't like to speculate on things. I'm curious to see what Tarn does with the siege stuff, but that's about it. And I'll give you the short version of this. The reason I don't like to speculate is in the past I've speculated and regretted it, because then people take what I say as confirmed fact. I've got a voice that I need to be aware of, and if I'm not aware of it, then I usually learn to regret that. So I try not to do that. You got 3 legendary weapons masters in the 2 first migrant waves. You should make a weaponsmith guild and then set it so that citizens and long-term residents can visit there. That's what I would recommend. Do you have 2 offices? You do. That might actually be the problem. Is this accessible? Yes. Fakerton, thank you very much for the 9th month. Welcome back. I think you like this way this fort has the Dark Castle aesthetic. It's like Dark Castle aesthetic plus evil Bond villain base because of the hole that goes all the way down to the lava sea right here. So it's kind of a, you know, it's a mix of things. We've also built all the way up and down now. I've only got 34 blocks here. So I got 20 left. Let's just do 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Here we go. Get rid of that one. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here. Don't actually have enough.
Thanks to it Quap Mob 4 Crypt Beer Crypt Plotlin.
So Diamond really wants to turn that into a hype train. We need 2 more Prime subs to turn that into a hype train. But regardless, just have to say thank you for being around to be gifted a sub. Diamond, appreciate you, man. Stars More, thanks for checking out a gift. Appreciate you. Almost there. 4 years of digging. Indeed. And on Giles, thank you very much for the words, the 5-pack as well. You could have cheered just $1. That would have been much cheaper for you, but there you go, Diamond. You got your wish. Dream succeeded. How does it feel to complete your live stream? Okay, so let's go all the way down, except I'm actually going to hotkey another spot. Let's go click this or hit H to open up the hotkey screen and recenter to right here. So now when I hit F5, it jumps me to here. F4. Well, this will get done eventually. This will get done eventually. At least this whole area is like damn close to being finished-ish. Although, I'm trying to think how I could speed this process up. An 8-child and 1 father. And migrant wave of 9 and 8 of them were children. Hey, at least kids are useful, you know? At least they're useful. Does this go all the way up? No, it doesn't. So what I could do... Okay, I can actually start building down into here. You don't know if that helps, but there it is. Thank you very much for the Prime sub. No, that absolutely does help. First off, that's like $2.50 I didn't have before, so thank you for that. And second off, not only is that like $2.50 that I didn't have before, but you now also have ad-free viewing and emotes to use in the chat, so I appreciate that. Are they on sale for you? That's interesting. I think like they give you a discount for like first purchases in a while or something. I know that like we on Twitch now have the ability to have subscription sales, which I'm a big fan of. Like I'm absolutely willing to take slightly less of a cut to do an occasional, just a wider channel would help. Yeah, the thing is this isn't a permanent thing. And while 100% you are correct, I don't really want to do that. I'm just trying to think of ways that I could do this without actually having to dramatically change the area around it. But no, you are correct. A wider channel would more or less fix the issue. I want to use Gabbro. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, you have a 28 months of subbing here before. So I'm just confirming that yes, it does very much help. Also, when did Twitch change the font? Like the font for buttons on Twitch now is like thin. It's no longer a bold font. When did they do that? Because that kind of threw me off this morning when I saw it. I was like, huh, I don't recognize these. This is different. It's scary. I don't dislike it. It's just, it's different. It's scary. But the hype train is now up to level 3 with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. It needs $31 in bits or 7 subscriptions to level up again. Regardless, thanks for helping keep the channel funded, chat. Oh yeah, they're also circles. I miss when icons were square Maybe I'm just weird about that, but I like sharp rectangles. Oh well. It's not the in vogue thing to do anymore. Darius, thanks for the 5-pack as well. Now it just needs 2, I would presume. Hey, shit, you got Kaiser Soze. Man, we're just, like, slowly sniping, like, Cringer's chat today. Am I going to see the new Brad Pitt F1 movie? Probably not in theaters for a majority of reasons. I mostly just don't like going to theaters very much. And also where I live now doesn't really have it. It has a movie theater. It's just not a good one. It's a very old one, so it's good for, like, weird indie movies, but not for that kind of movie. I don't know. It depends on when it releases on streaming. But yeah, probably. I'm, like, mostly curious to see the... I've heard a lot of interesting things about how that movie was shot, so yeah, probably. I don't really have anything against it. As a fan of Formula One, I would like to see that movie, yes. I'm not super, like, excited for it or anything, though. It's just kind of neat.
Cheered. X100. 4%.
It's pretty chill in my apartment today. Banisher Von Count. It's only, like, I don't know, maybe 18 degrees in here right now, so yeah, I'm pretty cool currently. Not too warm. Thank you very much, Shaku, for the $1. And Death by Rats for the 2nd month. Welcome back, dude. That's now a level 4 hype train. Not too much time left. 8 subscriptions or $39 in bits to level up. It's a damn long time, Diamond, let me tell you. Damn long time. Rough gems is what I'm looking for. Actually, a pretty decent number of gems. Personally, not something like the Gremlin part, though. Well, good news is always good, especially in the current year. Especially in the current year. Good news of any sort is good. I have good news. So the last time I streamed, my whole week was ruined. It was awful because I went out and watered my tomato plants early in the morning, and a mosquito bit me just below my left nipple. I witnessed it doing it and killed it in the process, so at least I got immediate vengeance. However, that mosquito haunted me for the next, like, day and a half. It's gone now, the bite. And so that's my good news. That's my good news. So, you know, good news takes all shapes and forms and sizes. That's my good news. Also, 8 subscriptions or $39 in bits to level up the hype train once again. I'm actually really curious as to where they're going to. Oh, I see. They're constructing these now. That makes sense. This now will give me access to this momentarily. So now they can enter into here. So they're over here. We're going to need to go up to this and lower that. We're also going to need to go over here.
Less than 3.
Trying to think what would be the easiest way to actually get up to here. It's also very shallow now.
Desoken cheered. X200.
Desoken, thank you very much for the $2. And Nix, thanks for the gifted subscription to Groknork. Thank you very much for the hype train, guys. Appreciate you. Can also get some of this gabber out of here. And soon, slowly, be able to start digging out this stuff as well. Although, actually, I should probably go this way. This will just go quicker. Had to unlurk to hype. I mean, hey, I appreciate it. Not to be weird, lore nerd, but isn't getting bit by a mosquito the opposite of an injection? It's like an inverse of that, because it's removed. They drink your blood, right? So wouldn't that be an extraction? But sure, whatever. I mean, mosquito had an agenda, I think. That much is for sure. Chat room, thank you very much for the hype train with the 17 subscriptions and the $3 in bits. It means a lot because I do get 70% from the Twitchiverse. So thank you. I don't know what's up with this dwarf, so I'm just going to pull some shenanigans to see if I can fix it. Actually, no, I'm not going to pull some shenanigans to try and fix it. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to make a new burrow. I'm going to give it to Lanix. And just enable it and see what that does. Because this dwarf should not just be standing there. Okay, I'll just pull some shenanigans then. Teleport! What are you doing? You dum-dum. Sure, but I don't live in Brazil, so I'm not too worried about that happening. Ruluxed. Also, that's not really an infection. Well, I guess. I don't know what's up with my mayor. Maybe they have too many quarters and things assigned. But something's up with my mayor. Let me just find their extra stuff. They've got throne room, quarters, dining room. So throne room's up here, dining room's over there. Let's just go up to here. I don't want to do this. Oh! Oh, I get it. God fuck us, McDammit. Okay, so I understand now why my mayor just keeps getting stuck. Yeah, okay, we'll just make that public. That's fine. So I need to allow this moron to speak with my mayor. This moron is Okay. Okay. Fine. That's what's blocking the office task. And he can't get to him. So my mayor thus is just like standing still and not doing anything. Because they need to have a meeting with this were creature who lives in the back of the hospital. That's why. So, yeah. I can't name cloth anything. I can only name things that can be constructed. A cloth can't be constructed on the ground. So, Diamond, what would you like me to name that does not contain cloth? I'll name this coffer. It contains cloth. Cabinets don't hold cloth. So I'm naming this. Cloth cabinets can't be made. If you meant like a clothing cabinet, too late. You're getting this, which is now named Narnia. It's the pathway to all the crutches and hospital stuff. Because it has cloths in it. Fuck exclamation point, lol, indeed. Yes. You haven't dug deep enough or in the right place, Simon. Also, you're not doing anything wrong. You're playing Dwarf Fortress. Keep playing. If you want like detailed instructions on how to dig too deep, just look at the wiki. It'll tell you. But you have to go somewhere pretty specific for it to happen. Okay, I'm gonna do something. Just gonna expel you. Get rid of this. They can stay locked in there, but I'm just going to expel them. Because I need my mayor to be able to do his job. We've also got some more migrants. They're still bringing goddamn goats. Well, that explains why my mayor hasn't been functioning for so long. Does fortifications work for that? Sometimes. I just kind of didn't care enough to make it work like that, so I just expelled them to solve the problem. Because it has this mayor has been unable to function as a mayor for like a year, but now they can conduct meetings as normal. So you need to make the office across the fortifications. I just kind of wanted you need like the office to cover where the creature is and the outside of the fortification, and you need a chair there, and then it works. I just kind of don't feel like it. I would rather just have these things work and be able to conduct meetings with other dwarves, basically. And be yelled at by unhappy citizens. I just want this to work, so. Also don't want to have to give them a crappy office to do that. Because right now I've got a ton of unhappy dwarves that want to yell at somebody in charge that currently can't. Looks like a confession, but it kind of is. I mean, with a were creature, that actually makes sense. So now that I've dug this out, I'm just going to channel down right here. Could also just like flood this. Yeah, let's just do that. That'll be fine. He doesn't have a good excuse to not work. I think it's the opposite, actually. This is going to improve my relations with the home faction. The Mayor Lennox meets with the Outpost Liaison. They say, let's discuss your situation. Mayor deserves a reward. I come empowered to establish this colony as official land of our realm. Of course, there are responsibilities and nobility must live well. I'm going to reject that for now. Maybe next year. No, I think it's actually very much the opposite. Dwarves like to work a lot more than players think that dwarves like to... Dwarves like to work less than players think that dwarves like to work, but they also like to work more than players think that dwarves like to work. I realize that's kind of a strange sentence to say out loud, but it's kind of the truth. Yes, dwarves like working, but... What was wrong with the mayor? He was trying to attend a meeting with a dwarf that was locked in a room because that dwarf is a were creature. So because that dwarf is a were creature and is locked in a room separated from the rest of the dwarves, he couldn't attend the meeting because that dwarf was locked in a room separately, away from the rest of the dwarves. But that were creature dwarf really wanted to complain at the mayor, and because the strong feeling of a dwarf trying to beg for the ability to complain at a manager or somebody in charge is so strong, that dwarf then was like, please, I beg you, let me file my official complaint with somebody important. And the dwarves are like, oh, okay, we shall let you file your complaint with somebody important. And then that dwarf is like, but at the same time, I am behind a wall and you cannot reach me. And so that dwarf just stands there stationary going, I sense somebody off in the distance who wishes to complain, but I can't reach them. And then they just kind of stand around doing nothing and going nuts. Basically, I want my lawyer. So now I expelled him, and that fixed the problem because now there's nobody complaining that they want to speak to somebody in charge because he's no longer part of the faction. I mean, he's still there, but he's just he now has. Don't make topical real world joke. He now has no ability to complain. Was this game hard to learn? Community Patrol. You need to remember, I first installed this game in 2009. So I'm actually a really bad person to ask this now. Chat might be a better person. Because I started playing this game so long ago, when you go look at those old photos and images, or screenshots, I guess is the better word to use, old screenshots of Dwarf Fortress from a million years ago when it was an ASCII nightmare, that's what I learned. So I learned that game, where most of the learning curve, where the level of the game's depth was very different. And a lot of the learning curve was actually just, Bronze Sect, where's the Bronze Sect? A lot of the learning curve was just trying to figure out, like, what you're looking at and not so much, because there was a lot less mechanics in the game at the time, right? So for me, was the game hard to learn? Yes, but I learned a very different type of game. I learned a very different game than the game that you're playing now. So you'd have to ask chat about whether or not it's hard to learn now, because I'm not actually the best person to ask at this point. I think like if you've played one or more town builders or colony builders before, learning this game's quite easy from what I've heard people say. I think the game that I learned was very difficult, but the game that I learned was very different than the game that you're learning now when you play. And you've never really made a stable fortress? I will say that, like, I think the hard thing to learn in Dwarf Fortress, Here's a sentence. The hard thing to learn in Dwarf Fortress isn't how to play Dwarf Fortress. The hard thing to learn in Dwarf Fortress is when to just let the game take over and be Dwarf Fortress. Because Dwarf Fortress is not a game that wants to let you control it, really. It's a game that wants you to be confused and lost, and it wants to perplex and bewilder. Whereas a lot of other games that are inspired by Dwarf Fortress are games about learning how to play it perfectly. Dwarf Fortress is not a game about playing it perfectly. If you're playing Dwarf Fortress and your fortresses are collapsing constantly, you're probably actually doing something right. Because that's where things are interesting. But, you know, for me, back in the day, after about... Also, Marcella, hello. I don't know when you tuned in, but hi. After about 20, 30 hours, I knew the basics. After about 30, 40 hours, I knew enough to play the game somewhat functionally. Was I good at it? No. Was I enjoying it? Yeah. And as soon as you're enjoying a game, in my opinion, that's where you've gotten to the point where you're good at Dwarf Fortress. You usually get overwhelmed with nobles' demands or making bedrooms? Don't. Like, make a dormitory. Okay, right now in this fortress, all of these dwarves that don't have set as quarters don't have quarters right now. Also, there's a bug right now making bedrooms harder. Just make a dormitory. In fact, I should probably just make a dormitory. I haven't had a dormitory in a while, but I should just make a dormitory. So I'm gonna go make a dormitory. But when I say don't, I say that very flippantly. What I really mean is, like, don't worry about perfection. Dwarf Fortress is a game about avoiding perfection. And if you worry about perfection, you will drive yourself nuts. So don't worry about perfection. Really. Like, do yourself a favor and don't worry about perfection. Get the minimum viable product and ship that. Don't worry about waiting for perfection. If you wait for perfection and try to do everything with perfection, Dwarf Fortress will drive you insane and you'll feel like you're never building a stable fortress. If you've made soap once, you're basically an expert at playing Dwarf Fort. I'm also going to deconstruct these floors because I'm using this particular color as stairs. Even I don't seek like perfection in any way. Like, I don't see the point because perfection is boring. A safe, perfect, stable fortress is an uneventful, dull fortress. That's my advice to you. You can do with it what you will. You're on the path to expert. I've done soap from oil once just to say that I did. Yes, it's called my YouTube channel, Ode in Abundance. Game's play area was digging into the mountain horizontally. I mean, I don't really... I went back to those versions of the game after the fact, but I never played that far back. I just don't even bother. Be like, we're in an era of Twitch where having commands like that doesn't make any sense. Really? Because you just scroll down and there's just a link right there. Like, it's on the profile. If you want to have, if somebody wants a link to the YouTube channel, it's right there. It's right there. We don't need to spam up the chatteroony with nonsense commands constantly. It's like, all it is self-imposed spam. Was lost to were-tortoises? One of my first major fortresses was lost to were-cougars. You almost never look at that panel? Well, I found your problem. This is a you problem, not a me problem. That is incredible. I played this game for like 5,000 hours before seeing my first dragon. At least one that organically showed up in Fortress mode. One of my favorite things about Dwarf Fortress releasing on Steam was seeing all the people who are just like, so I just embarked somewhere random and I landed on a dragon, help. What do I do? It's like, pray. Is what you do. Ask Armok to bless you. Or like when I was watching a friend of mine, Ithris, play some Dwarf Fort around the time it launched, and I think it was his first fort actually, got attacked by a dragon, and they managed to kill it. It was like one of the most heroic fucking things I've ever seen. I've intentionally embarked on dragons. I've never accidentally embarked on a dragon. Yeah, I think I actually like how Fire and ASCII looks more than how it looks with the graphics on, but I really like how approachable the graphics are. I think that's honestly the best thing that they ever did in regards to the graphics, was just making the game much more approachable. I'm letting it spread out so that it cools off and goes away. Is what I'm letting it do. Because it's slowly getting shallower. And when it's sitting on rock, like over here, and it's 1 deep, it dries up, cools off, goes away, ceases to be a problem. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just let it all dry up, go away, and cease to be a problem. Well, number one, it's not an AI. Okay, that's a loaded term these days. That's incorrect. If it's called AI Fortress, yeah, that's been around. I don't know, 15 years maybe. There used to be a live stream, which ran 24/7, which was just DFHack playing the game. It's basically just scripts that like, using simple if-then statements, just like builds prefabs based on what dwarves need approximately. It's all prefabs. It's also really fucking bad at the game. Have I showcased it? No. Why? Because there's no reason to. It's not good at the game. And I don't think it really has any benefits. Yeah, it's literally just macros based on what the game thinks the dwarves need. And using blueprints. It's not fancy. It's literally just like a preset script that like looks at whether or not the dwarves are starving and then tells them to make food. And usually they all die very quickly. It's not really worth showcasing, thinking about, or worrying about. It's just keeping the dwarves alive, Gondor. Playing the game, everything. It's bad at the game. It's not AI. No, it's like, it's not doing what you think it is. It doesn't know how to play the game. It doesn't even know it's playing the game, per se. It's literally just... It looks at the health of the dwarves, their moods, and whether or not they're hungry, and uses macros to try and play the game. Like, every single time I tuned into that 24-hour stream, like, half the dwarves were dead, there was bodies everywhere and ghosts. Constantly. So, no, like, it's not... That's... No. No. You know, I really am, like, a proponent at this point of, like, stopping using the term AI. It, like, people think it means something very specific these days. And in a video game sense, especially in games like this, really does not even mean what people think it means. Yeah, it's a brand at this point. It's like, it's a marketing term for a certain thing that's burning the planet down. Like, Dwarf Fortress has had AI for 15 years. Yeah, it's really just a loaded buzzword that means nothing anymore. That's why, like, I'm very cautious to not use the word AI when describing NPCs in video games. We should change AI to just II, then it can be inefficient intelligence. Or IS is inefficient stupidity. That's what is. Is inefficient stupidity. The funny thing is if one of these cools off enough that I could put a dwarf there, which I can't because there's 2 lava there. There's 1 lava there. I could just like tell one dwarf to pump this and that would drain this like immediately. You know what ChatGPT is? It's a more expensive, harder version of the same technology in your phone's spell check. Like that's all it is. It's just predictive text. It's trying to guess. Streams since I've talked about ChatGPT or other models. 0. Also, I don't even know how Mooncat died, but Mooncat died. Mooncat must have died in that, like, collapse. That's what Clippy evolved. Oh god, Clippy. You spent 2 hours at work last week fixing something that someone asked ChatGPT how to set up. Can I ask what it was? Just like the 1 sentence definition? Was this a code thing or? I'm actually like really curious. Hey there, looks like your dwarves are starving. That would actually be really funny. You know, it's in reality, like not the tutorial, but like the persistent hint system that like RimWorld and some other games have, where it just like pops up, this is happening, you should do this, is about as smart as the like DF hack AI that plays the game for you, where it just like looks at a thing, gives you a notification, and then just like triggers a macro based on what it thinks is happening. Yeah. It's when you run out. It's not when you're low. Although, admittedly, if there was a pop-up that popped up every time I was low on food, I would turn that off so fucking fast. Because what it defines as low on food does not necessarily equate to what I define as low on food. Okay, we're just out of wooden shields, leather armor, leather helm. I really like this keyboard. I bought a new keyboard. It's this, because the spacebar on my other one finally died. I'd had it since 2018, and I really like this keyboard so far. It's nice. Apologies. I managed to burn the back of my throat last night because I made some soup. And I like burned like the top back of my tongue and the back of my throat. And I've been coughing since. It's not as bad as it was at like yesterday afternoon after I did it, but It's still definitely there. Hey, YouTube folks. The first person to put a smiley face emoji into the YouTube chat can name a random hallucinating calculator. LSD calculator. The first person to put a smiley face emoji into the YouTube chat can name something like dwarfy or otherwise. Inanimate or otherwise. Where'd this water come from? That I'm actually a little bit confused by. A vile darkness force has arrived. Actually, hold on, let me check. No? Oh, I know what I did. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, well, that's fine. A vile darkness force has arrived. You're gonna need to be more specific. Which hallway? What area? Shaku. Because this is where I was. But which, is this underground or high up? We're gonna need to do a hotter, colder thing. It's the hallway that dwarf was running down with the wheelbarrow? Oh, I'm presuming it's not important, but I still would like to answer the question for you. Mean this? Quartzite? Or gabbro? Or pyrolusite and gabbro? One of those. All right, so do any of you have a spouse? Also, actually just gonna change a setting real quick. Quit recentering. Okay with the pop-up, but just quit recentering. That's just annoying. All right, so we have a Goblin Siege. An ad is about to play. When the ad plays, I will pause the game. But here come the goblins. These dwarves are actually, like, armed with bolts. And then these dwarves, I'm just gonna position right there. So they are now all ready to fight. And a bunch of them actually have better gear now. What you? Still working on these guys. At least the helms are getting constructed. There's crows like everywhere in this map. Had a mist generator made out of quartzite and glumprong. Oh yeah, no, quartzite looks lovely. Quartzite is one of the nicer accent materials. I will do my best to follow along with this fight. I've been kind of bad about that recently. I was watching one of my VODs, and I think that's something I could do better at, so we'll try and do better at that. Snatchers are arriving. Oh, this one actually has a spouse. Holy shit! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times this goblin has been here. I love this goblin obsession with bags. It is one of my favorite quirks of goblins. It's like, this particular goblin, Uspu, right here, 10 bags. Every time they visited this fortress and tried to steal my stuff, they've brought another bag with them. In fact, they are even dwelling upon seeing a goblin's dead body from last year when they were here last. You know, this goblin also has, like, decent skills. And probably quite a lot of strength skill from all these bags that they're carrying. It's like a part-time job. They give you a new polo every year. I've never had a job where I've gotten a new, uniform every year. I did have a job where I got a new pen once a month. But that was because we needed a pen to mark down what we'd done. So they just gave us a pen, and it was branded. but I worked at McDonald's for 8 years and I got a total of 2 uniforms in that time. And I was supposed to return it after the fact, and then instead I threw it in the dumpster. Just kind of didn't say anything. I think those are a sign of failure and to salvage their reputation. They need to fill his bags. No, totally. Yeah, absolutely. You still got your McGear? I'll throw it out. Set it on fire. I was told to burn it, but I lived in the middle of a city, so. Also, Lai, it's good to see you. Hope you've been well. Holy shit bags. Odin. Ads should be done now, hey? We through the ads, chat? Whenever you go to, yeah, just try and sneak in. Just wear it into a McDonald's and then just like, just be like, yeah, I'm the new guy. Anyway. Walk in, make yourself a burger. Walk out to the lobby, eat it. Yeah, I'm waiting for my shift to start. And then just leave. But yeah, every time they attack you, they bring another bag. I think that's an unintended bug. I'm never going to tell Tarn about it because I like it. Should make a video out of it at some point, though. Damn, that's a lot of snatchers. So, like, this one's been here 4 times. This one's been here. Yeah, that's the one I was on earlier. This one's been here 3 times. And this goblin is about to have a rough day. So these dwarves are now shooting bolts. They're just made of wood, so they're nothing super fancy, but they are shooting bolts. And they will be an okay method of disarming the goblins, if nothing else. Just disarming them. See? Like, this dwarf right here, Bonesaw, just fired a bolt. No, maybe not Bonesaw. Who fired that bolt then? One of you did. There you are. The flying yakbone bolt strikes the goblin in the left lower leg, tearing the muscle through the voracious cave-crawler boot. And this dwarf, Bumwreck here, is terrified while in conflict after slashing a goblin crossbowman in the upper body with an obsidian short sword, tearing apart the muscle and bruising the ribs. Dwarves are now going to move directly towards these very weakly armed goblins, and multiple dwarves fling themselves, attempting to jump, and instead landing down here. Thankfully, there's nothing dangerous down here, so it's not like they get injured or anything, but they did fall down, which is unfortunate. This dwarf right here appears to have lost the ability to stand. This dwarf right here is blocking flying silver bolts and slashing at the goblin, which is damaging them through their armor. The dwarves now begin to move towards the goblins very quickly as up here, Bembul stabs a goblin crossbowman in the upper body, and their upper body is cloven asunder, and then seems to have jumped out of a thing's flight path and then actually dropped their sword because their hand skidded along the ground and they got a hand injury. So they've dropped their sword, but then they went and picked up their shield, which is definitely good. Other dwarves come running in, and they are now fighting through the goblin our armed forces pretty effectively. Stormwolf would like to name something. Do you know what you would like to name, Stormwolf? You just say dwarf me, but do you have any preference? The goblin crossbowman slashes or gets slashed by the dwarf in the upper back teeth, which cuts their teeth off in an arc. As you can see, there are now teeth everywhere. And the dwarves that fell down, including Bomrak Giant Slayer, the fleshy kindling of something that I can't read because it's in the map, who has killed the Fragrant Knights, the giantess, as well as most recently a goblin. Very recently, in fact, because this dwarf then stabbed the goblin in the right lower arm with Namast and Namasters, and then tears apart the muscle, bruising the bone. Stonecrafter, if I'm using them. I probably have Stonecrafters. I think that was a pretty effective fight. Nobody appears to have died. There was that one goblin down here who was running, or scrambling, I guess. Very injured. What do you think, chat? Should I tell the dwarves to kill it? Or should I let him run away and tell his friends? I think we let him escape. This bowman did actually manage to kick a sword out of one of my dwarves' hands. And then got stabbed with the sword and then they pulled the sword out of him and then got attacked and he rolled away and then actually fell, which is what saved him. He says, I've been injured badly. There's no hope. And is crawling. No longer able to grasp or stand. Pretty gruesome wounds, it looks like. I can't remember where that button is. There it is. You know, his upper body being cut open. His arm torn open. I mean, I would have to kill him to do that, Gondor. Name it. What do we name him, chat? How about Stubbs? Because his arms and legs are gone. He's not a zombie, but Stubbs the Gobby. Good luck, Stubbs. Just whatever industry. We're mostly in the construction industry right now, to be honest. So I don't really have a ton going on. Seems like all my dwarves are just tending to wounds currently. Also, Gilsax is a distressing name. Doctors are doing their work. I could give you a weaponsmith. We got a good number of like metalsmiths and weaponsmiths. I do have clothers. I have just a lot of weaponsmiths demonstrations that are constantly happening. So I would say probably either weaponsmith or I don't have any clay, no. I would say either weaponsmith, doctor, or farmer. Or like a smith, doctor, or farmer is probably the most active industries I have. I will say, like, maybe one of the hardest thing, Grocky, is like to like master in Dwarf Fortress is like bridges in efficient spaces. I really wish that like there was a different variant of bridge that was only one tile wide that required metal. And maybe this is something that we'll get with like sieges or something that like was just a vertical thing. Cause we have drawbridges, right? I want like thunk, you know, like a cage front door akin to like, you know, actual medieval castles instead of just the drawbridge. Really wish we had something like that. Portcullis, yeah, that word. That word. Couldn't think of it, but blast doors, exactly. That's kind of where my brain went, but close the blast doors kind of deal. But yeah, portcullis is definitely what I'm thinking of. Let him tell his friends they need a bigger boat. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, Mondal. He'll take a doctor. Well, they're all pissed off, so I'll give you the slightly less pissed off one. The Storm Wolf is completely helpless in stressful situations and would much rather would never pass up the chance for a good fist fight. Is very ambitious and always is looking for a way to better his situation. He has a great trouble mastering fear when confronted by danger. He can easily be moved to mercy, and he does not easily fall in love and rarely develops positive feelings. He tends to form only tenuous emotional bonds with others, and he finds helping others to be emotionally rewarding. He is slow to trust others and enjoys the company of others. He does not go out. He does not easily hate or develop negative feelings, and he is very humble. He doesn't seek out excitement. And he dreams of raising a family and personally values nature. Sees working hard as a useful waste, and also a thunder dumper. Sorry, we got attacked, so I got distracted. But it appears that we had Simon St. Clair and Thunder Dumper. So Simon and Thunder, what inanimate objects would you like me to name? Hold on, let me finish reading this. But yeah, I got distracted by a siege. Sees working hard as foolish, waste of time, and sees introspection as important, and has a negative view of those who exercise power over others, and dreams of raising a family. He likes horn silver and black bronze, as well as rose quartz and giant giraffe horn, truffle horn, what? And the color ivory, male shirts, and rings and crutches, and iguana men for their dewlaps. And the sound of the velvety incense, when possible, prefers to consume goat cheese and banana beer, and hates rats. Wait, what? Was that rats or demon rats? And hates rats. Wants to help somebody, and is mildly upset with his life. and also wants to go attend a meeting. So we'll let you go do that. I don't know what the question is referring to. So I will give Ponder this, and the other person who put a smiley face in the YouTube chat, Simon, said statue. There you go. You get a statue of Ono Take Glow, and you get a bookcase made of native copper. How could one hate rats? I think it depends on the context of the rat. I could see why one would hate rats. But I do agree. Rats are pretty cute. They certainly have their moments. They're more of a redeemable critter than many others. That's probably what we'll end up doing. But let's go up to here. Although, actually, is this going to be a problem? I think that, like, rats do not equal domesticated rats. Domesticated rats, great pet. Rats, kind of a different thing. Kind of, you know. Got a lot of deconstruction I got to do now. I'm not sure why that's not done, so I'll just deconstruct and reconstruct you. Okay, so I'm just out of obsidian. Got it. It's fine. It's also like summertime where things are a little bit quiet generally. Anyway, so, like, I don't know. It's been totally fine. I think it more matters what the community has been thinking about the way we're naming dwarves. And people seem to be okay with it, so I don't really have any issues currently with it. And like I said, I think chat is cool with it, so I don't really have any problems with it, to be honest. I wonder. I wonder. So currently everybody's just, you know, off meditating and doing things that they need to do. The beauty of like having a burrow, which has most of the main jobs out of the way, is they all just go deal with their needs really quickly. And it's actually a very big positive for moods instead of negatives, which is usually what you want, is positives. You're just curious more than anything? Yeah, no, I mean, I've kept it. So, like, generally, we are in the thumbs up zone, I think. I really should add on to that goal, just as a verbal addition, that we're also trying to dig and, like, remove... Like, we're trying to get rid of the lava sea. It's probably, like, a noteworthy addition to that series of details, I guess. Who, also Simon St. Clair wants to know who's chilling at work and getting paid to watch me. Me! Because I have my OBS right here and I'm working. This is work for me. Chat, who's at work right now? Press 1. Remember to watch blind on company time. I would honestly say probably most of you. How many years has this fortress been going? Yeah, it says 1075. Not quite 10 years. But, I guess 12 pre-reclaim, but it was originally a different faction. Can also probably get rid of this. This will be a little sketchy, but... And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up as a pit pond. And set it as a pond so that they will take buckets and fill this up with water. And that'll make the lava around here disappear. And then I can probably, keyword here is probably, do the same thing over here. If that works, I could tell a dwarf to run in here and pump this. If I can tell a dwarf to run in here and pump this, then I could drain this ridiculously quickly. You will call that work. Yeah, counts as working. I mean, based on my YouTube stats, and I've talked about this many times in the past, according to my YouTube stats, a majority of the people who watch my streams are like in their 30s. Like, it is not an overwhelming majority, but it's a pretty high percentage. Also, this is how we dispose of trash and low quality / used clothing. Should actually lower the quality of this. We're doing too much high quality stuff. But it's fine for stuff that's already in there. And this is how I keep the fortress clean. Because it's like lower quality stuff and damaged stuff is what goes in there. So it's mostly lower quality right now, but there will also be damaged stuff going in there. But they're offering tomorrow off, which is Friday, so it's tempting to take today off and tomorrow just to be done for the week. Does that negatively impact your job? Because if not, why not? I say why not in that. I say why not. So that got cleared. It's kind of funny. I got 2 types of buckets in this fort. I've got gold buckets and I've got aluminum buckets. Turns out the aluminum ones, much lighter and quicker to carry somewhere to like fill something up with water. So it's way better when they end up using those. Like this dwarf right now filling a pond. It's a very slow process though. Ooh. Forgotten beast named Zubi Brushkahan Marcus Tosa. Tosta has come. A gigantic hairy earthworm. It has a spiral shell and it squirms and fidgets. Its chocolate hair is unkept. Beware its poison sting. The Ungodly Ocean. What a good name. It killed a human hundreds of years ago. Like 700 years ago. Civilian alerts don't exist. You use burrows. Civilian alerts have always been a DF hack thing. So if you want to use civilian alerts, which I personally consider cheating, but you do you, you have to use burrows in vanilla or use DF hack. They just make the game way too easy. Because the only difference between civilian alerts and a burrow is civilian alerts forces a lot more things and cancels a lot of things that burrows don't. And depending on how you build your fort, like even burrows aren't necessary. Basically, civilian alerts, the way people think they work, haven't existed in the game since like before the game was 3D. It's like back when the game was 2D. Civilian alerts used to exist. But they were more or less removed a long time ago. A child that tantrumed, and one of my doctors tantrumed. Great. I would have to ask, would walking likely incur being burnt or eaten? I mean, like, if you're referring to running away from a, like, deathly threat, then yeah, that's a fair question, but why would you have to ask? Generally, dwarves do run away from things. I think just dwarves' line of sight is a lot less than people presume. Is the actual issue. Fluids are something you never really got the hang of. Fluids are great. Assuming you know where they came from and the source of them. But also, like, in Dwarf Fortress, fluids are just so much fun to mess around with. There's so much variety in the gameplay that you can do when you mess around with liquids. It's kind of like, it changes the whole game in a lot of ways. I mean, it depends on where, like, if you're settled in a... So, one of my best memories of Dwarf Fortress ever was I had a person pop into my chat. Surprise, that never happens. It's crazy. But no, this person was in my chat, and they said, hey, Blind, I've got a question. I'm like, yeah. They're like, could I get a dwarf? And I was like, yeah, sure. What kind of dwarf would you like? And they said that they wanted to play as a fisher dwarf. I was like, okay, well, I have no fisher dwarves assigned because I'm in a very scary map. And if I assign you as a fisher dwarf, you'll probably die very quickly. And they said, that's fine. I would like to be a fisher dwarf. I was like, okay, we'll give you your fisher dwarf. I will give you your wish. So I gave them that fisher dwarf. And that fisher dwarf proceeds to walk outside, as dwarves do, right? And within seconds of them stepping outside and starting to fish, as the fisher dwarf wanted to do, a giant tick appeared in the ceiling and completely consumed that dwarf. Just ate him. Just dead. Done. Kaput. Goodbye. And killed that dwarf and left him dead before I finished reading the description of that dwarf. And so, yeah, no, I would have to agree. Depending on where you're settled, running is not a dumb thing to do.
Crypt arrive.
I have reason to believe that somebody just crypt arrived. Shark Jumping Walrus, thanks for the 29th crypt arrive months. Chat room, can I get a big round of beers for the Shark Jump Walrus? Everybody's favorite walrus of shark jumping. It's not even the fastest death. I mean, the fastest one was that person who asked for a dwarf after the Steam release came out. It was like within a few weeks of the Steam release. And then they immediately just froze to death in a waterfall. Like, they literally, like... I didn't even finish. I unpaused the game after reading their description and they died. That was probably the fastest one. I still kind of feel bad about that one because of how short that dwarf's life was. Cause the agitated wildlife to attack. So this was before agitated wildlife existed. I mean, giant animals that were aggressive did, and they still do. But agitated wildlife didn't exist. Agitated wilds, as we have them now in current DF, is a mechanic that appeared alongside of Dwarf Fortress's Steam release. So that's a new thing to the game. Damn, I got a ton of quartzite. But that being said, the way it worked at the time was just if a creature was back in that at that point, if a creature was hostile and it was in the vicinity of dwarves and they saw a delicious looking dwarf on the ground, they would just attack them, basically. But seriously, Walrus, thank you so much for sticking around. Although, in regards to that, Shaku, does anybody remember the bug related to Untamed Wilds that was only in the game for about 6 hours the first day it was out? I say about 6 hours. It was a couple of hours after the game released the first time that it was patched. But there was a bug where when a dwarf does damage to the wildlife, the game builds up a hidden points score, like to nature. So harvesting plants, chopping down trees, digging on the surface, constructing on the surface, it builds up a little hidden score. And when that number gets to 2000 by default, then nature attacks you in Untamed Wilds. There was a typo where, so I want to say trees are like 100 on that score. So if you chop down like 20 trees, or at least at the time it was, that would basically make things attack you for a little bit, and then it would tick back down over time. But fishing used to be 100 per tick, so fishing was considered a tree. So basically, per turn, so if I hit period and let one turn move by at a time, that's 1 tick, and fishing was considered that. So every single time a tick happened, it was counted as 10. So I started a fort and then immediately got killed by giant chinchillas, like minutes in, because like one dwarf just went off and fished, powered it up to 2000, they just annihilated me. So yeah, no, running, good idea. Definitely run. Rule number 1 of Dwarfland, cardio. Rule number 2, double tap. Yeah, no, the carp didn't even have the chance to stand. It was just funny as well because it was like fucking, you know. It was bloody chinchillas, man. Like, you couldn't find something cuter. All right, we're just going to follow Snail as they do bucketing. There's an ad running. I got to take a leak, chat. I will be back in a moment.
We Crypt Beer.
Doing green tea. Thanks for the 29th month. Oh, it was a good leak. Yes, I needed that leak. Let's just get rid of that one. Hey, chat, can we get a round of beers for Q and green tea? It's good to see you, T. I thought rule number 3 was do not talk about Zombieland. Same with rule number 4 and 5. It's like 8,000 degrees there. We're having a second April over here. It like got cool again. But I also live on the ocean. Like if you actually look at the forecast, it's like, oh, it's 25 degrees or whatever it's supposed to be. But then like you stand outside and it's like ocean breeze. So it's actually like 18. It's like the air temperature here is like really funny because it's like air temperature feels like this amount. In reality, it's like 10 degrees cooler. 93 degrees, that's too hot. Sorry, I'm speaking in Celsius. Where are you dumping water? Ah, that can go away. That can go away. Okay, so this over here all needs to start getting dug out. This is probably the quickest way over here. So all of this water over here is the magma sea. Or it was. Aside from, like, you physically and literally melting, can agree to you? Are things okay? Things good? Don't want to use jet for that. Let's start building with jet again, though. Looking forward to a 5-day weekend. Damn, that's a long weekend. What's the occasion? At work to see doing I'm draining the lava sea. I mean, the way you drain a volcano, especially if it's still refilling, which they will, you have to like drain it and then dump water in it. And then if you remove the obsidian, it'll then refill. Or you need to drain it faster than it fills, which is like you could totally do it, but that would be quite a Herculean effort that could cause some calamities. But that's called fun, right? We enjoy that here. So. Was that you posting on the Discord, Rubizul, about draining a volcano? Because I saw somebody posting on Discord about draining a volcano. You didn't? Okay, so someone literally asked me, like, was asking the other day about Discord and whether or not you can drain a volcano on Discord, so... But yes, you can in fact drain volcanoes. So I need to get this water out of here. This is going to require some shenanigans. One thing at a time, though. Nope, that should be gabbro, not obsidian. You were thinking about draining it and letting the bottom level refill, block it off, and then massive fortress inside with all the forges at the bottom. So the forges at the bottom would have to be separated from the main lava spew because it will bubble up and into the forges. So you'd have to do those diagonally, most likely. Otherwise, it might overflow. But like, if you made like a reservoir here and then diagonally move the lava in, you could probably do it that way, but you'd have to do them like next to it. Otherwise, it would flood itself and you'd run into problems. Right, I was also gonna do this right here. I super duper forgot about this area. Basically, you wouldn't be able to put the forges in the center tube. That would cause problems. Taking Friday off and then not driving 200 kilometers a day for a day of work Monday to take Tuesday off for the stat. Fair enough. Wait, what do you mean you're not driving? Are you or are you not? It sounds like you're just like withholding truths. What are these? These are granite. Let's just do gabbro over here. Roof this off. Actually, let's also do these sides. I've just got so much gabbro right now, it's falling out of my ears practically. So this is going to be where we're going to drain this side. The easy way to do this is to go diagonally. That would be the safest way to do this. However, I'm not convinced that that is the best way to do this. I should be able to leave diagonally there. But it's probably what I'm going to do, is just build flooring along here and then just smooth or just channel through that down into here and just let it flow off. The reason I'm doing this 2 levels is so that there's more space for it to dissipate. That's how many across? It's 10. There we go. Also, I feel like nobody's done this today, so let me check. Chat investments are open if you guys care. But yeah, if you want to talk at me about lava projects or how to control liquids in DF, I'm all ears and able to help at this point, because that's kind of the large end-ish game side project of this fort, is just, you know, lava shenanigans. So also deconstruct this for right now. Although this actually is powered currently. Right, yeah, because this is all still technically powered, which is the funny part of it. And also go back to building this. And I just need these cleared. Although this time I should just make these out of gears.